oh, closed captions really won't work because not everybody else is running. They'll hear my closed captions, but not everybody else's. So I guess we got to get rid of closed captions for the stream, unfortunately. But it do be like that sometimes. Now we have an actual stream going on. The actual stream of three beans in a pod.
Oh, yeah.
So, welcome, all you zero viewers at the moment, or at least my thing is not updating if I actually have anybody here.
Oh, live now.
Yes, zero viewers at the moment. So we are all good. Everything is going according to plan at the exact moment. Thankfully, I did not stream nearly long enough for the other thing to or maybe it did. I don't know. But we had the slightest of slight goofs before we started. I decided to not update what the stream was going to be called. So it was going to be the continuation of me playing Bloodstained. But the problem is, it said, "Can I beat it?" And I did beat it. It is done.
Oh, you
It's
did.
in the books. It is finished.
Easy.
So I passed out before you ended the stream.
No,
So I didn't get to see it.
I was struggling a bit towards the end, and yes, yay. What was the
Ooh.
Huh?
Beano Supremo just hosted the stream for what? Why did an alert go off? I don't even have an alert set up for this.
What a scam.
What
a literal scam.
I apparently have to look into that. I literally do not have an alert box set up. There is no reason that an alert should have gone off, because then all of a sudden I just hear "yay" and I'm like, what? And it's like, oh,
Excuse me?
Beano Supremo has just hosted the stream for one viewer. So that's certainly not something I was anticipating. But I guess if you're going to kick off in episode 1, that's how you do it, baby. You find all your technical difficulties and you start getting that stuff worked out. And so far, though technicals do be difficult.
What is a technical if it's not difficult, though? Let's be real.
I was literally in my stream earlier, too. I was about to go off the handle on Bloodstained because it just did not want to work at all. And it was like, I have to update. So then I kept trying to update it and was like, nah, I'm not going to update. It's fine. Updating is stupid and nobody needs to do that. I'm like, but I kind of want to play the game. And it's like, nah. And then it launched itself 4 times anyway. And then it crashed and then I finally played it. The end. That was my story.
SMH my head.
That dewy life sometimes, though. But it's okay. We all make it. We all live.
So, I hope everybody's ready for a Beano Yawns Repeatedly stream.
Hell yeah. And you know the best part of that is every time you yawn, I might also yawn. Did you notice how I yawned in the middle of saying the word yawn? Because that was a thing that just happened. I'm going to tweet out that we are podcasting right now. I'm going to take a little picture. Maybe.
I did the same.
I have no idea what's going on with my life right now. I'm just going to take a little picture. Boom. Look at this. Look at those 3 beautiful lads. But we...
Hoggers, let's go.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to keep using hashtag 3 beans in a pod. Already saved in my phone. Podcast is live. Come to... You know the deal. Come to twitch.tv/DrTaco1982 now. Or Noe. Because apparently my fingers are fat. There we go. And we're all good. So I guess at this point we may as well start getting the introductions out of the way. We are. I guess we'll go left to right. I'm the first, then Gadget, then Beano. So for those of you who do not know us, I am Dr. Taco 1982, aka Taco, aka Adam, whatever you're most comfortable calling me. I am a streamer on Twitch, and I play a lot of different games, and I have a beautiful wife and 2 doggos and a bunch of fish and a niece living with me. And
did you mention the frog?
I have one frog who keep. Oh, I have one frog.
Oh, no.
Um,
Oh, no.
Probably not the best time to say that.
Oh, Beano didn't know?
Oh, and Gadget,
no.
and poor Gadget number 2 also did not do so well.
He disappeared.
Yeah, Gadget disappeared somewhere. We think he got eaten. And Beano,
Oh,
unfortunately,
boy.
was swimming like crazy one night and then was not swimming anymore. So Beano, number 1, at least, outlived both Gadgets. So he got
I'll
that
take the
for-
victory. I'll take that as a win.
But we are a household of many pets, pet lovers. We'll probably get way more detailed into all of our personalities and such, but as this is a podcast about video games and nerd culture and pop culture and what stuff in general, anime fan, comic book fan, science fiction, fantasy fan, like that's me. That's the most basic introduction I can give you to the world of Dr. Taco. So I'm gonna hand it over to Gadget now.
Well, that was a hell of an introduction. Now I gotta try and do as much as you said.
Did you
Let's
have any
see.
pets named after me that died recently? That's the real
I had
question.
not.
Or did you have
Unfortunately.
any? Did you have any Beano frogs?
I should. I definitely should.
Yes, you should.
All right, let's see. Well, I'm Gadget. My real name is Alex, and I am 29 years old. I have a wife and a son. I like to stream probably some different games, usually Souls games, and a lot of Dead by Daylight. Trying to breach out as well. I have a cat. I also like comics, comic books, just like Taco, and yeah. What else did you say? Trying to remember.
I think you pretty much covered everything. I learned something today already. I'm one of those people that like I don't really like to ask people their non-internet name. Like it's one of those
Ooh.
things where it's like if somebody wants to tell me their non-internet name, I will gladly take that. But I never pressure anybody to be like, well, now that I've met you and I know your Gadget, what's your real name?
What's your real name? What's your social security number? What's your address? What's the bank details there for me? Just hook me up.
No, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
you covered. You hit all the points there in the introduction. Mine just happened to be a little longer because I was like, oh, by the way, all the animals named after you, they're dead.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I suppose I'll jump in. Hey. So for
There
those
you
that
go.
don't know, I'm Beano. I enjoy candlelit dinners and long walks along the beach.
Mm.
I stream 3 times a week over on Twitch at Beano Supremo _. Play Souls games. I'm real bad. Finished Souls 1, finished Sekiro, started Dark Souls 3. Got shit on a lot. I also started Alan Wake on Thursday, which I'm super pumped to get more into. What else? I'm a big Vroom car go fast fan. You might see this racing flag over my shoulder here, right there. I have done a bit of racing streams in the past, but then all my stuff broke, so that was sort of the end of that for the time being. My real name also is Isaac. Now that we're here and everybody is saying their real names, I'm Isaac. The OGs from
Wow.
when I first started might know, because when I very first started streaming, my name on Twitter was my real first and last name. and then it occurred to me that might not be the best thing. So that might be news to some people, might not be news to others, but yeah, that's me.
That's
I have learned something as well now.
see, I knew his name, and the reason I knew Beano's name, and I've kept it under the lid, I kept it under my cap this whole time, is because when I have donated money to Beano, and I look at the PayPal receipt, I'm like, who the hell is Isaac? I'm like, who did we give money to? And then I was like,
Who is this random guy that's stealing all my money?
and then I was like, oh, that's Beano. And then I just was like, I have information. And then I was at one of Ant's gaming streams, and I heard somebody being like, oh, Isaac is below deck. And I was like, they didn't call him Beano. What a fucking weird situation that just was.
What a scam. No, because when I first started, because I had Twitter before I started streaming, so my Twitter was just me. And when I got to like 20 or 30 followers, I was like, yeah, first and last name on the Twitter account that I'm directing people to. Maybe not. Might be bad.
It's like, yeah,
So,
Beano decided the Twitter name should be his full name and the last 3 digits on the back of the credit card, just to make sure that people could have a good time.
I'd have put my address in there, but it wouldn't fit. It was too long.
Oh, that's a shame. You should work on that.
I'll send a nasty email to Twitter and say, let me put my full address as my username.
But I got to see roughly some of the area where Beano habitats from time to time this morning, so that was pretty exciting.
Habitats.
Yeah, we he was showing me all around Australia because he was trying to show me Russell Crowe's house, and we think we found it. We found a place with a giant tennis court and a giant swimming pool. So we think we found Russell Crowe's house, but
I'm pretty sure that was it.
But we had a pretty good time just looking at the Australian outback and looking at some random snake videos and
A bunch of inappropriately named towns. What was that one? Cumnock, whatever it was.
Yeah, it was like Cumnock or Cumgive or something like that. I'm like, that's
Cumsock, whatever it was.
Cumsock. That Cumsock Australia.
Oh, wow.
That's people don't be knowing about the Cumsock Australia, unfortunately.
Hidden gem of the outback, the old Cumsock. Oh dear.
It's like the idea of it. Like, I don't know why, but it's like, where do you live? Oh, I live in the God, that is such a bad accent. I apologize in advance
That was
already.
not good.
Oh, good day. I live in the Cumsock. That wasn't much better, but
I mean, it was better, but yeah.
Well, I think
Go up to the post office with an envelope addressed to Joe Bloggs that lives in Cumsock. Here you go, mate. Post this one for me real quick.
Cumsock. So, I think that's our introductions out of the way. Hello, everyone. Welcome, internet, and welcome into
Hola.
This beautiful train wreck of a first episode. No, everything is going great. I just like to set the expectations low. That way, we can only go up, baby.
I mean, we could plateau and stay where we are.
This is true.
Yeah, we could deadline.
But I believe it'll be like this, straight up.
To the moon, as they've been saying, with all the GameStop. And it's a random Bill. Hello.
Hey, Bill.
Baby.
It
Bill.
is the Three Beans. Welcome in, Bill. I hope you had a good stream earlier today. So I guess with our introductions out of the way, I guess now would be as good a time as any other to kind of discuss some of the games that shaped us and, kind of molded our growth. Because as you can see on the today's topic thing, which I worked very hard on all these graphics. So if everybody could please say they're amazing and wonderful, I would be very
amazing and wonderful.
Thank you for those heartfelt, very amazing things. But that is most of the stuff we are going to be covering today. We are going to be covering our introductions. We are going to be covering our childhood gaming, kind of like what formed us, like I said, in our gaming habits and whatnot. And then kind of tonight's main event is going to be our streaming journey. And that's kind of also going to kind of bring us together in the podcast, kind of like what we want to do and go forward with that. And then we'll open up the very end of the show to some Q&A. If anybody has any questions they just want to randomly shout at us, then we will do our best to answer those questions. Yes. We do have a couple of random bits in betwixt, but I think for right now we'll go ahead and just jump into the childhood gaming. And me being the cool guy that I am, I went first last time, so Gadget, why don't you go ahead?
Oh boy. Well, gaming, right like memories and just my childhood of gaming. Okay. Well, I started out with my first console being the Nintendo Entertainment System. My first video game was The Goonies 2, as Taco has played. I made him play it before on stream.
You had me at Goon.
The Goonies 2 extravaganza. I also had that game as a kid. if that was, I'm so sorry that was your first game. I'm so sorry.
Well, yeah, it was very confusing, but I still have a little bit of nostalgic for it, just because for what it is, and the chip tune is pretty good for what is it, the Goonies song?
Yeah, the
I
the
forget the
Goonies
name
are
of it
good
right.
enough.
Yeah, good enough. Yes. I grew up though. Probably my Super Nintendo. I played so much of that as a kid. That and the Sega Genesis. Um, what's I got the Donkey Kong Country uh, machine. It was a lot of fun. I played that one so much. Probably, I wish I still had my Super Nintendo because it'd be nice to. But besides that, I played a lot of Zombies Ate My Neighbors. That's another great one for it. Um, then I really got into the Grand Theft Auto series in like junior high school or so. Junior high, yeah. And I got super addicted to Vice City for a long, long time. I remember spending summers just playing that nonstop. Yeah, and let's see. I collect also quite a few different consoles. I try to and keep ones that I had. I have like the Sega Saturn. I have the Genesis 2600. Um, the Dreamcast, PS4, PS5, all the modern ones. Switch. I do want to get a GameCube again. That would be really nice. But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else right now. I hate being first. Trying to think of stuff.
It's listen. Somebody
Howdy.
had to go first. Somebody had to go first, and I'll be like moderately honest with you. Like I didn't want to be the guy who goes first for everything, so I kind of felt like kind of just like alternating. I didn't mean to just throw you under the bus on that one, but
That's all right.
what you're doing is you're setting the pace. So we're gonna hear all of your
Okay.
stuff, and then when Beano goes next, he's gonna go. Well, I'm not gonna say all those things. I'm gonna. Say, oh, I'm kidding. Gadget, I love you. Um, but no, somebody had to go first, so of course somebody was gonna be on the spot. But dude, I am insanely jealous that you have a Sega Saturn. Like,
Really?
I got to play Sega Saturn, I think a grand total of twice at a friend's house. They constantly traded in and out of machines. So
Hmm.
one week they had a PlayStation, and then they traded out for the Saturn, and then they traded out for the N64, and they kept the N64. But they got like they got a PlayStation like down the road. But it was just one of those things where it was like I got to play, what the hell was it? Virtua Cop 2, I think it was on the
Ooh,
Saturn.
good game.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. And then when I went over to their house again, it was like, we have Blast Core for the N64. And I was like, get that garbage out of here. Where's the good games? What happened? What happened in the 2 days I wasn't here?
Yeah, I grew up with like the N64 and the PlayStation. I really got into Saturn probably like 10 years ago, and I had to get one before they got too pricey. Thankfully, I did, and I got quite a few good games at the time. And import, I got the like the what's it called? Action replay machine cart, so it can play imports,
Okay.
which a lot of Saturn games didn't make it to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Marvel versus Street Fighter, or Marvel versus or Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter. I mean X-Men versus Street Fighter. That's probably my favorite one. I have those, various different ones.
That's good stuff, man. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you wanted to throw in there? Otherwise, I'm gonna also just bring up that a random Bill sadly got on that SNES late, but he had the Sega Mega Drive slash Genesis, depending on what region of the world you're from, for most of the
Mm.
youth. And I kind of was
Ah,
the same way. Nintendo into Sega for me. I didn't get SNES
I
until
got the
way too late.
Genesis. I got the Genesis probably 4 or 5 years after I got my Super Nintendo, and I played a ton of that as well. I didn't have like the big games though. I had a lot of sports games for the Genesis. I remember playing a lot of NBA Jam.
Okay.
That was probably my favorite. Yeah.
I also am old enough for all of these Genocide and Mega Drives and N64s and all of these things.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Beano's first system was the
PS4,
PlayStation
baby.
3 or something. Like, that's what I was waiting to hear.
I'm guessing probably the PS2.
You're not far off. It started with the Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
That was it. Young little Beano had a Game Boy Advance. He'd steal his brother's Game Boy Color Pokemon games and play those. So I'm not even Game Boy Color. I'm Game Boy Advance with Game Boy Color games in it. That was where I started. And I remember we had Pokemon Gold. And you guys know how they had the batteries in them, and if the batteries in the cartridge died, it wouldn't save the game.
Yep.
Yep.
I would get out of bed at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday morning, whack 2 AA batteries in the back of my Game Boy, and try and play as much as I could before
Oh boy.
something bad would happen or the batteries would die, and then everything would just reset. And that was so rough. When you're sitting there and you're like, yes, I'm up to the third or the fourth gym or whatever. And then the little yellow light on the Game Boy goes orange. And you're like, oh no, please, not like this. So that was where it started. That and the PS2, as you say, Gadget. That was the big thing with my brother. We did a lot of co-op stuff like GTA San Andreas, which I probably shouldn't have been playing as like an 8-year-old. But I think I turned out okay. That, and there was a game called Champions Return to Arms, which I think was the sequel to a game called Champions of Norath.
Yes, I played the first one. That's like a Diablo-ish type.
Yeah, one of
It's really
those
fun.
isometric RPGs. And we played the ever living heck out of that. We did full playthrough after full playthrough, all co-op, me and my brother. And I think that did a lot, because I don't think without that I might not have got into as RPGs I did. Like, I might never have played Skyrim, I might never have played Dark Souls, because I wouldn't have had that influence there as a young bean. So that was really where it started for me. And then, from there, my brother went and got his PS3 that I would then steal while he was at work, until I could go and get my own PS3 and then my own PS4 and then my computer. So the moral of the story is stealing games from your older brother is always good.
Oh,
Thank you, older brother Beano.
I'd say at least my brother got the benefit of that, because he got like my old Game Boy Advance, and he got my GameCube, and he got other various things that I had, and now I'm like, oh, I'd like to have those back. I would really like to have those back. Although I will say I still have a DS Lite, I think it is. So I still have my Game Boy Advance games lying around. So if I ever do just want to pop in a game, I do have the ability to still do that, thankfully. So I'm glad that Nintendo, to some extent, has always been kind of thinking, at least with the portable stuff, the backwards compatibility, because you've had the Game Boy Advance, where you could play the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color games. Then you had the DS, where you could still play the DS games and the Game Boy Advance games. And now, of course, the 3DS lets you play 3DS and DS games. So it's... I kind of think a lot of that backwards compatibility, unfortunately, is going to end, because I don't feel like Nintendo's probably going to make like the Switch 2, and it's going to have like 48 different ports on it, so you can play whatever game you want.
Yeah, I don't see it. It'd be nice, but I don't see it. I mean, they do have on the Switch, they've got the SNES and the NES classics that you can download. There is that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty sweet, because a lot of that stuff, like, I've never played a lot of that because it was before my time, because I'm not as old as all you guys. But yeah,
you ever get one?
Sounded so hurtful.
No, see, I've never really gone back and bought anything that was older. Like I've done emulators and stuff. Like I've done a lot of PS1 emulator stuff, but I've never gone and bought an older thing.
Hi, Moon.
Hi, Moon.
I just said it in chat. I was like, I didn't want to talk over anybody, so I was like, I'm just gonna say hi to Moon in chat real quick, and then I got yelled at.
This is true.
That's okay. Beano, did you have anything else you wanted to throw in there?
No, I think that does me, fam.
Okay. I shall do my best to keep it as brief as possible because I'm not gonna lie, like I probably could sit here and as I'm the old man of the group, it's like a 5 and then 10-year gap between youngest to oldest. So it's I'm the old man. I myself started with the Nintendo Entertainment System. The first game I ever had, of course, was Mario Brothers / Duck Hunt Kart. And being a kid, I think I was 5 years old when I got that. There wasn't a lot of games for me to play at that time, and I had absolutely no revenue. And that's back when it was you get like one game maybe every other month or maybe once every 3 months, and then your birthday and Christmas. So you really, really relied on rental stores and everything else. And it was such a different experience than now, where there's so many different things where you just get free games for being a member of something and used video games everywhere. And eBay, there's so many ways to get cheap content. Whereas it used to be, I go to the video store on a Friday and I rent a game. And if that game sucks, I'm stuck with a sucky game through like Monday morning. But hey, at least I didn't have to play Mario Brothers again. But I mean,
That was the same way.
It's one of those things where it's like I've always played a ton of stuff. I don't really feel like there's ever necessarily been a genre where it's like I've shoehorned myself. I feel like to an extent, I probably would have to say platformers, even though I'm not necessarily a huge fan of them, because I've always been like a fan of like the Mario series, Crash Bandicoot when it first came out on PlayStation, things like that. Like I've always associated that with being a platformer game, so I've always enjoyed that. I think probably the bigger ones that have always been a little more so like influency are definitely role-playing games, and more so the traditional Japanese role-playing games. I've never gotten into Western RPGs nearly as much as JRPGs. I keep trying to play games like the different Elder Scroll games. I know like Dark Souls is technically like an Eastern RPG, but it's like an Eastern RPG based on a Western RPG style. So like that's another reason it's always kind of been like, I don't know, it's not for me. But if you give me 3 characters that stand on one side of the screen and an enemy on the other side of the screen, baby, I'm there. I'll play that all day long. And that's why like games like Final Fantasy IV, Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, all the big like Square Super Nintendo titles is really kind of what developed me for a very long time. So when the PlayStation came out, the first game I ever actually got for PlayStation was the RPG Wild Arms. And what kind of sucked about it is I'm playing this game, and PlayStation is new. PlayStation is brand new and weird and bizarre. So I'm playing this game, and I get a game over, and it's like, well, whatever. So I go to like continue. Oh, there's no continue. I'm like, why is there no continue? Oh, you have to save the game. Oh, okay, well, my mistake. Start playing it again. Oh, there's the save point. Go to the save point. No memory card inserted.
I was gonna say, you don't have a memory card, do you?
I was like, memory card? What do you mean?
What is memory?
I'm like, what is memory card? And I learned quickly after that you had to have a memory card. So I had spent all my allotted money on a game that required saving. So it was a few weeks until my parents were like, here's $15 to go get a knockoff memory card, because that's all I could unfortunately get. Because the same thing happened to my cousin and I. We rented a PlayStation and played Resident Evil 1, and we had to play it from start to finish with no saves. We had no walkthroughs back then, nothing like that. It was get as far as you can, and if you died, guess what? You're going back to the beginning and try again. But when we entered the PlayStation era, like, again, that's when I got into the RPGs is really what drove me. Stuff like Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII, all of those. And I started getting into a little bit of the racing then. Gran Turismo 2, NASCAR 98, Destruction Derby 2. Like, these were games that just, like, ad nauseum I played. It's if I do like my whole thing, it's going to take me an eternity. But after that, like, I had my PlayStation 2, and of course I enjoyed all the classics, like he was saying, like Grand GTA series. Everybody who had a PS2 had a GTA. Like, if you didn't have 3 San Andreas or Vice City, like, you had one of those. They were top tier games for the PS2. They were so revolutionary for its time. When you're used to just being like, you walk from point A to point B and then you beat the level. Okay, that's a video game. GTA 3 was like, hey, guess what? Here's what you're supposed to do. But guess what you can do? Anything you want. Go do it. We don't care. If you want to do the missions, do the missions. If you want to drive this police car and catch criminals, do that. Drive the taxi. Be the fireman. We don't care. And at that time, it was like groundbreaking. So, like, that, when we started having all those open world things, and it just kept going forward and forward, and now I feel like I've really shoehorned myself, and I'm just like a super casual gamer now. So I play a lot of like City Skylines and Tetris, and just like, I like to play games now where I can like relax. I don't like to stress when I game. I will stress while I stream. I will play something that like makes me want to go insane. But if I'm gonna plop myself down after a day of work, then I'm gonna pick up. And I know some people might be like, "Well, Tetris is kind of stressful. Do you see how fast those bricks fall?" But for me, I can just zone out to that. I just sit there. The blocks fall into place. The Tetris effect, as it says. You let it happen. And for me, like, it's so good. It's so good. And I just don't have the same free time now as an adult, unfortunately, to play these RPGs that are like, now they're no longer, 15 to 30 hours. Now they're at best 40 to 50 hours, and JRPGs are becoming 100 plus hour excursions. And it's just like, I don't have the time for that kind of stuff, unfortunately, as much as I would like to. But it's unfortunately a thing that just does not work out for me at all.
That was me picking up Pokemon on the Switch recently, because Pokemon, I mean, I don't, as far as scale goes, Pokemon isn't the biggest, but I thought, what are the chances that I can play through the entire Pokemon story, regardless of, filling the Pokedex or whatever? What are the chances that I can find enough time to do all of it? I mean, granted, I'm not the busiest bloke, but it still felt like a daunting prospect to play a game that big. But, yeah. I mean, it's taken me back to my youth. It's incredible.
I mean, you playing Sword and Shield, I take it?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question is for you, at least about the Pokemans. Between Gold, which was your first, I'm assuming, to Sword and Shield, like, how much did you play in between? Just curious.
I did. So I had, as well as Gold on the Game Boy, I had Red and Blue and Yellow, as well, the Game Boy Color ones. And I had Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Advance, where I didn't play a whole lot. And then after that, it was Pearl on the DS.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay.
And that was probably 10 years ago now. And other than that, it was Pokemon Go when that was a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm coming back in after quite some time, and it's just like, even like, it's so different, but it's so not at the same time. Like it's still a Pokemon game, and it's nostalgia every time I play it.
I like the comment
Yeah,
in
my
chat
first
where Moon is saying Bean was a Pokemon Go boy.
Pokemon Go boy. me and my buddy, we'd go to Macca's runs are sacred here in Australia, and we have where we live a 24/7 drive-through. So we would go out in the middle of the night, get Macca's, get some frozen cokes, get some nuggets, whatever, and then just drive around and just hit all of the different Pokestops and gyms and whatever at like 2 a.m, just doing laps around his town. All the days.
The Gadget, please. We
Yeah, I
stepped all
grew
over
up with my first Pokemon would have been Red, and then I eventually got Blue and Yellow, like maybe 6 months later, because my sister, I got her into Pokemon as well. She's like 2 years younger than me, so then I got her a Game Boy Color as well, and we battle and whatnot. But then I got Gold. No, I got Silver. She got Gold, and then I got the Sapphire. That was one of my favorites too. And I kind of stopped when the DS ones came out. I got Fire Red as well, but so then I wasn't really too big into Pokemon again until I really got back into it at what was the 3DS one?
X and Y?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, X and Y. But I played some. I played Pearl. I played Black. I played what was it, White 2 or Black 2 as well?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a sequel to that one?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I played Moon. I pretty much played all of them, actually. But I wasn't really into it like I was when I played like the original ones from Sapphire until probably X and Y, and then I did pick up Sword. It's fun, but I still prefer the original ones personally.
No, it's I think for me, I mean I started with Blue and Red. I think most people, at least around our age, probably have started with Blue and Red. Um, but there was like bits and pieces of gaps where I missed simply because I didn't have money at the time, and I was reaching a point at age where my mom and dad weren't necessarily buying me as many games, and we had financial situations at that time, so we didn't really have access to games as much. Um, but I tried to do my best as a gamer to get all of those, and I kind of got burnt out. Like Black and White too. It just it just didn't do anything for me. Especially, I didn't really care for Black and White that much. He says as he has a Black randomizer run coming up on the channel eventually. But it's it wasn't until X and Y I played those, and like the real, like, I don't even want to say 3D, but the models of everything was so much different, and you could finally customize your trainer, and you could do all this like side stuff in the game, and it was like, this is the Pokemon game I've been wanting. This is I actually feel like my character is part of a world now. I'm not just generic 10-year-old Johnny who is now becoming a trainer and just going to the end of the game. Like, I actually felt like a trainer. And then after X and Y, like, we had Sun and Moon, and then Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, and those ones again, I was like, eh. There's Pokemon I like in those regions, but again, it just was kind of like, eh. But the first time I played, we got Sword, and I kind of didn't really go into it. I went into it pretty blind. I didn't look it up a lot of the Pokemon, but I went into it, and then it was literally, I looked at it and I was like, yes, this is the Pokemon game I've wanted since I was a kid. Like, to go into the wild area and just see Pokemon walking around, and you see them on the trails and stuff. It's no longer complete random battles. Like, you can actually see the Pokemon, and it just was like, for me, it was like, finally, this is what I have always wanted, and that's why I'm kind of intrigued about the Dragon Ball Legends. Yes, you're smart. Pokemon Legends Arceus, or whatever it is, which is kind of looking like Pokemon Breath of the Wild to some extent. So I'm kind of excited about that because it really looks like a new and different direction for the series, like entirely. Because we are getting the Diamond and Pearl remakes, and
Yes.
I'm a little scared that it looks like those might be kind of like Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee ish,
Well, I
which
hope not.
I was not a huge fan of that game. Which was just the remake of Red and Blue again, and I got to the exact same spot where I knew I was going to stop, and it's the stupid Cinnabar Island where you have to go through the burned down house, and I just was like, I hate this part of the game, and it immediately hit it again, and I was like, they did nothing to make this part of the game better. It's literally just a cut and paste, and I was like, I hate it. I don't like how you catch the Pokemon. I'm not a fan of any of it, and then this is the part of the game I hate, so it just sits on my shelf now, gathering dust, because it's like, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu.
Oh yeah.
But it's unfortunately, when Sword and Shield came out, I had great reservations about it. But no, I absolutely, I Pokemon is one of my most beloved series when it comes to gaming. So I can't really complain about that.
We're forgetting the most important upcoming Pokemon game. Go ahead, ask me what it is.
I was waiting with
I do not know.
with awe and
Pokemon
silence.
Online.
New Pokemon Snap, baby.
Oh,
April
April
30th.
Louise. Yes, I did completely forget about that, to be honest with you.
Hoggers.
I did as well.
I'm
Okay.
I didn't have that one as a kid.
Me either.
I never had an N64, so nope.
Me either.
I played it
I
once.
really like Stadium.
Never played
I
that
played
either?
that one a lot. Oh, you should.
I only got to
I used to rent
play
it all the time.
Pokemon Snap at a Blockbuster on a couple of times because they had set up the N64 in store, so you could go in there and play whatever game they had, and all they had every time I went was Pokemon Snap. So it was always that first level over and over and over because I had no idea what I was doing, but it sure was fun to take pictures of Pokemans.
I respect it. I'm keen.
I'm
Yours? Oh, go ahead.
I'm excited,
I was just
but with reservations, because it's like I know it's going to be an on rails shooter, for lack of a better term.
True.
But my question is, what kind of game is it going to be exactly? Because I feel like, and I have not looked into it at all, so somebody in chat could be like, they've already revealed everything. Are you dumb? But I like to go into a lot of these things blind because I like to play it and be like, oh, this is exciting and different, or oh, this is disappointing. Why did I spend $60 on this? But for this one, I am super interested in it because with the Switch being a traditional console and a handheld device, will it play differently between the two? Because what I'm kind of hoping is that in the N64 version, like you could go left, right, up, down, and that was pretty much about it. If I don't really remember you being able to look backwards. But now that you have the Switch and you're sitting inside this capsule, will you be able to take the Switch and look up and then just completely turn around? Because the device itself will move. So, but then if you're playing it on the TV, is that going to be by like control? Will you be able to use like the right stick to completely spin around or something of that nature? So I'm kind of curious if it'll be more like the game is actually better to play in your hands because it'll be like an actual camera. So I'm very curious.
I don't think it's
gotta
going to be
have-
on rails, though.
Oh yeah.
So,
It's got to have some sort of motion control, right? Like they wouldn't just not
yeah.
make use of that Switch functionality. But then, as you say, how do you do that when you're docked?
Yeah, and that's what I really do not want it to be super gimmicky when it's docked, because if I have to, because I just happen to have Nintendo Switch controllers right here, if I can play it just with like left and right, then I'm okay with that. That's fine. But if I have to play it like this in docked mode, I'm not going to enjoy that. Like, I don't like
I don't
gimmicky
think it
motion
will.
controls.
I'm sure there'll be a function to turn on and off the motion controls, probably. I would imagine.
There's got to be something because like you can't if you're snapping Pokemon on a screen, you can't then turn this way with your controllers and just look at your bookcase and not be able to see what's on the screen. So there's got to be some way, whether maybe it automatically detects if it's docked and it just disables it. I don't know. There's got to be something there, right?
Yeah, like I said, that's honestly my only real concern about it. It's just one of those things where it's like I am excited for it because it's something that people have been wanting for a very long time, and I think people have really been wanting it since the release of the Wii, because we had, that's when the motion controls were coming out, so you could take your controller and aim it to shoot your picture. So I mean, I guess it was smart of them to wait until they had the Switch, which is a far better piece of technology. But I'm my two biggest fears: one are the controls, and two is the length of the game. If it's going to be like a $60 game, I hope it has some depth. I don't want it to be like just like you play it and it's like, well, I hope you enjoy these 6 levels, because you're basically paying $10 a level. Enjoy those levels. Like I hope it has at least a fair amount of replayability to it.
It'd want to for that sort of price, wouldn't it?
You hope. You would certainly hope. But I think that covers it. I think that covers pretty much our childhood gaming. It was kind of a history of a lot of our stuff. I didn't expect this to turn into the mini Pokemon podcast.
Yeah, there was a bit of a tangent there.
Hey, dudes, we went into this saying, here's what we're going to have planned, but guess what we're going to talk about? Not anything we have planned. That's
Yeah.
the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But if it is prepared, and I think it was prepared. I'm not gonna talk out of school. Gadget, do you have a fun fact of the day?
Well, before we do that, since we were talking about new games like
Yes.
Pokemon Snap, I thought I might bring up the Elden Ring leaked trailer, because I
True.
know Beano and me are big Souls gamers, and I think you said you were kind of keen on the idea of a George R. Martin type RPG.
Yes, I am very much. I am interested in it simply because of the whatever narrative or creative input that he has on it. I did get to see. I completely forgot to look it up, but Donkey thankfully talked about it in his latest video, so I got
Thank
to
God
see.
for Donkey.
Yeah, you're not wrong, baby. So I got to see some of the random stuff, and of course, Donkey like shit on it, which was like the funniest part. But he had the same complaints I did to some extent, where he was like talking about like how Martin can't even finish like Game of Thrones, so the Elden the Elden Ring ought to be out in like 2042 or something like that. so I did find that humorous, but no, I mean, again, I'm not a big Souls guy.
Yeah, not a big Souls guy yet. Taco Souls coming to a stream near you, baby.
Yes, that's the thing. Everything I'm going to say is going to be then immediately met with a contradiction. So it's like I said, not a huge Pokemon Black fan. Going to be doing a Pokemon Black randomizer run. Not a huge Souls fan. Now that I have finished Bloodstained, I can start a new game in rotation. What game do I choose that to be? Not something fun, not something that I'm going to enjoy. Dark Souls. So so I'm going to get no, not Sekiro, Bill. Probably never Sekiro. If Beano, the resident like Souls beater, and Gadget does play a lot of the Souls too, but Beano
Gadget did beat Demon Souls.
I do be seeing Beano beating a lot of Souls games on stream. It took Beano 10 hours over a couple of combined days to beat the final boss in Sekiro. So that to me says Taco, more like Talk No.
Oh, that's humor. On an entire another plane, that is humor.
I'm sorry. But
One thing
I'll gladly hand
Okay,
over the Elden Scrolls talk to you two now.
I was just gonna say, the one thing that I'm really keen to see with Elden Ring is how much story there actually is. Like, we know they've got Game of Thrones boy on board, but Souls games are notorious for barely having a story. So I'm curious to see if he's more of a world building role or if there's going to be some sort of story in it. Because, like in Dark Souls, the story is there's two bells, ring them. That's about it.
I didn't
So
know that. Wow, what a
Yeah.
great story.
that's about it. So I'd be very curious to see if there's going to be an Elden Ring story or if George R. R. Martin is more of a world building and lore sort of role. But the trailer looks quite interesting, I must say.
Yeah, with From Software games, it's there is quite a bit of story, but you have to look in it yourself. The game doesn't really have it, you know. Um,
It's all like
like with
descriptions on
Bloodborne,
items and conversations with
yes,
NPCs and that sort
you
of stuff.
yes, you have to look at stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited from what I saw with the gameplay wise of Elden Ring. We saw a dragon. It looks like a boss, perhaps, and horseback riding, which is going to be new for From Software type game. And thanks, man. What was I going to say? We didn't get to see the HUD and the stamina, so I'm curious if it's going to be like Dark Souls or if it's going to be like Sekiro more. What do you think, Beano?
I don't know. I'd like to know if the combat is going to be blocky like Dark Souls or flowy like Sekiro. I don't know. I want to know what they're doing, and I want to play it, and I need it, but I don't know, and I don't like it.
It's that now that you guys have started saying that stuff, that was like Donkey's. His two biggest concerns were like the combat because they didn't really show off the combat even in the leaks, and that they're kind of drifting away from traditional Soulsborne games and making it more open world. Now, based on what I've seen of the game, I don't really like of what I've seen of Souls games specifically. I don't really know exactly what constitute an open world and what doesn't constitute an open world. The games seem linear to an extent, but you still seem to have the ability to go where you want to go. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if they're approaching it as more of a Skyrim type of deal, where it's like a little more open, where it's like literally you can go climb over that mountain, as opposed to you have to get the ability to go climb over that mountain. I think that could definitely be very intriguing for a Souls game, which kind of does feel uh, it's more like you go this path. This is the path we want you to go. Yeah, there's a couple of different ways on this path for you to go, but at the end of the day, you're going to get from this bonfire to this bonfire, and then you can fast travel between those two bonfires. And that's still different than, say, even like a Grand Theft Auto, where it's like you can go anywhere. And you know, maybe the game scales differently. Maybe there's areas of the game where you shouldn't be because stuff's going to wreck you straight out the gate. I don't know, but I think the questions about the combat are probably very very valid. Um, I feel like if it's going to be the fantasy, like it seems to be that medieval fantasy look, I have a strong feeling it's probably going to be closer to Souls than Sekiro. I just feel like it's going to be more about like shield blocking, if anything, if they move away from rolling per se. I don't
Hmm.
think it's going to be a lot of like stand and wiggle and wait for them to hit you.
Oh, the wiggle.
Like
That's how you play Sekiro.
I don't see them doing that. I don't see them doing anything cool like the freaking scorpion get over here whip or whatever you want to call it, like how he's able to vault around like that.
Oh, the grappling hook.
Yeah, like I think they could I think they could even do something exciting and different and new. Since you said there's horse riding, maybe there's horse combat. Maybe you can
There
actively.
is. It
Okay,
looks like.
see, I didn't see that, so I was like, that is kind of like neat and different. Where in comparison to all the other games, where you've never had mobility like that before, to be able to go into battle with something like that.
Yeah, the trailer they showed your main character on a horse, and there was another guy on a horse, and you attacked him. But it was just a brief, quick second of like that gameplay. I'm pretty curious though if there's going to be like different builds and like magic builds, like how Dark Souls is, or if it's going to be like Sekiro, where there's the
Like
only
a
one
singular
style of
character.
combat. Yeah.
Well, I hope it's just not as punishing as like Demon Souls, because that game just like all of them are very punishing in their own ways, but I feel like Demon Souls has that like extra aggressive punish, like when you die and if you don't revive yourself, like I don't know, it just
Oh yeah, it makes your health half. Yeah, that
yeah,
was kind of rough.
and it's and I understand that like the series has like just or the Souls series, Soulsborne, however you want to look at it, it has continually evolved over time. Like Bloodborne was kind of like a big change in the series
It was.
with
Yeah.
more of the uh, like ranged combat and stuff with the weapons of that nature. And then you have Sekiro, which completely flipped the script. So it's like, yeah, you have your rolls and your jumps or whatever, but the parrying and the blocking and more so, it looks like more so timed combat than even like a Souls game, because it's like in Dark Souls when you're fighting an enemy you can be like, okay, he's gonna go 1 2 3 swing and then I hit him, but in freaking Sekiro it's like, okay, he's gonna go 1 2 3, now I attack him, oh shit, he blocked it, now he's doing his next sequence, oh, if I don't block the sequence it won't let me attack. So it's like, it's such, every single time they do something just a little bit different. Like whenever they introduce a new game, it looks like.
So they are really different, especially like Dark Souls and Sekiro, because in Sekiro you don't have a stamina bar. So it's all about
Yeah.
relentless pressure. It's parrying and then just attacking nonstop until the other guy starts to attack and then you're back to parrying. So when I went back to Dark Souls, that just because I was so Sekiro, the playstyle was so ingrained in my small brain, I just couldn't. Like I had to get used to blocking and then 2 attacks, then having to stop because if I get hit again, my stamina's so low I stagger and I'm just dead.
Yeah.
So like even like they're similar games in terms of how they play and the bosses and all that sort of crap, but they're so different.
Well, even like with Bloodborne and Sekiro, they're very different combat wise as well. Like with Bloodborne, it feels kind of mashy in my opinion. Especially with because if you get hit, you can immediately you want to hit the enemy right back so you can gain some health back. That's kind of how it functions. And then instead of like a parry, you have the gun where you want to shoot immediately with it. So that was interesting. I'd say Sekiro was probably better gameplay wise than Bloodborne, but Bloodborne had probably a better story and mythology and whatnot because it's very Lovecraft driven. Um, so I'm very curious to see what they decide to have Sekiro wise, or Dark Souls, or even Bloodborne into the new Elden Ring. I'm sure it'll be very different, just like how Bloodborne was to Dark Souls than Sekiro was to all the other two.
I'm keen.
Me too.
Cameo, baby.
I didn't bring your passage.
Oh, thanks, baby. I got extra drink and I didn't even ask for it.
Oh,
All right,
baby.
so I think that's it for Elden Ring talk.
I'll leave them in
To
the
go and
ready
be
for you.
cute. Thanks, Moon. I don't think so, but so are we going into my fun fact of the day or whatever?
We can definitely do that. Let me do one thing real quick. It's a
Okay.
random Bill asks, Beano, and you may have covered this, and I may have been a poophead and didn't hear it when you were talking. But Beano, what do you prefer, having played both pretty recently, Sekiro Combat or Dark Souls?
Sekiro, easy any day of the week. I think Dark Souls as an experience was better because it is Dark Souls. It is the standard to which everything else is compared. But the combat in Sekiro is so fast and fluid and showy with blood sprays and finishing moves. So if I had to pick, I'd probably prefer to do Dark Souls again, just because it is Dark Souls. But gameplay wise, I definitely preferred Sekiro. I think might be a controversial opinion.
Well,
But I think
I would
Sekiro is
actually go with Dark Souls gameplay myself, just because of the variety of different builds you can do.
That is
You
true.
know, like you can play Dark Souls so many different times with different outcomes just by that. You want to go for a heavy, big build and just like tank it, you can do that. Or if you want to go magic and stay away, you can do that. Or like a Dex fast build, stealth. It's all possible. Where Sekiro is very linear, and I don't see much of a replayability with that one compared to the
Yeah,
other
see,
Souls games.
I'm pairing Sekiro. My Souls experience is almost always, apart from this new Pyromancer build I started in 3, my Dark Souls plays have always been the fattest knight in the heaviest armor with the biggest sword. And that was just how I did it. So comparing that to Sekiro, I don't think it's a contest. But when you start doing stuff like fast dex builds and magic and all that sort of crap, I can see going either way, but comparing Fat Knight to grappling hook shinobi with a mad sword, that's not. I was going to say it's not a contest. It is, but Sekiro wins, I reckon.
That's fair enough.
Well, even with Bloodborne, you can't even do that as many builds as like Dark Souls as well. You're a very fast type guy, and it just really goes down to what weapons you're using. That's why I think Dark Souls and Demon Souls have the edge, personally for me, on that, just because of the replayability of it.
Now we just need Taco to play Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Sekiro, and then weigh in on the discussion, I believe.
Well, I think I'm gonna play next stream Bloodborne. I think I'm going into it.
Baby. I'm
Excited.
keen. I feel like I never gave Bloodborne enough love, and if it ever comes to PC, then I'm going to be all over it like a rash. But one day, I believe.
Yeah, I loved Blood. That was actually the first Souls type game that I really got into, was Bloodborne. I was so addicted to it that I remember beating the DLC, and then I beat the new game. I beat the game, then I went straight into New Game Plus and beat that again. That's how dedicated I was into that one. So I'm excited to finally play it again.
Well, since you were the last man talking, you may as well also be the next man talking, because that brings us to Gadget's fun fact of the day. And I don't know what the fun fact is, so I'm ready for it.
Fact me up, baby.
Well, I was going with for the starters. I thought I might go with a video game related, maybe fun fact of the day, of what happened throughout the year, or not this year, but in video game related. What I saw was Conquer. Today was the first when it launched on the N64. I thought that was a pretty cool, interesting fact compared to a lot of the other ones. I really loved Conquer as a kid. Very mature for a N64 game. I think it was one of the only M-rated ones, wasn't it?
Maybe. I'm sure like some of the Mortal Kombat games were, but so that was Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yes.
Okay, because there was one other Conker game that was
the Game Boy Color.
Yeah, I think that was what it was.
Yes.
And it was definitely not Conker's Bad Fur Day. It was generic. We're trying to make a mascot video game, and that went over like a turd in a punch bowl.
You're absolutely right, Gadget. Released in North America on the 5th of March 2001, 20 years ago today. Conker's
Wow.
Bad Fur Day.
Happy
That's
20th
something.
birthday, Conker's Bad Fur Game. Fur Game. And Conker's Bad Furry Game, where unfortunately has bred many furries to the rest of the world. Apologies to all other furries in chat. Yeah, Hazoka brings up Live and Reloaded, and that was trash. I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. Live and Reloaded was trash.
Have any of you guys played Conquer?
Negative.
Bad Fur Day. Oh, really? I figured you might have.
No.
Taco.
It's again, if it's an N64 game, I can pretty much guarantee you I have not played it. When it comes to N64, like literally the most games I have played on it would be like Rogue Squadron, Shadows of the Empire, Super Mario 64, freaking Cruisin' USA, one of the Madden games. Those were the games that we played a bunch of because my cousin had an N64, but he didn't collect N64 games as much as he did PlayStation games. So I had at that period of my life and in the whole, like, if you want to say PlayStation, Saturn, and N64 period, I had way more PlayStation exposure. Just way more because I had my own library and then I had everything he would get. So there was way more there.
Okay. Does the PC have the rare replay on Game Pass, or is that only Xbox?
That's a good question. It's probably only Xbox. I would not be surprised. Let me
Speed running the Xbox app, baby.
I'm just gonna type
'Cause-
rare.
Because that has the original Bad Fur Day on it, and you're really into platformers, I know, and that was a really, really good 3D platformer for the N64. Very adult rated for a platformer as well, you know.
Yeah,
Very unique for the time.
I
And
want to
especially
fight the
for
mighty
Rare to
thing.
do something like that at the time was uncalled for. I mean, you know, you would not have thought that was going to happen.
It is definitely not on here. I typed in rare. The most relevant result was Battletoads, so the remake of Battletoads is on there, but it does not have the rare replay, unfortunately. So that's it's kind of bad. It's a bit poop, but it do what it do. I would love to play it one day. I mean, honestly,
Yeah, I would
at this point, it
recommend
wouldn't
it.
really be that hard to do because I am dabbling into the world of emulation more and more. And I feel like N64 emulation should probably finally not be complete hot garbage. I know for a very long time N64 emulation was just completely baffling everybody, and I don't know why, but emulation for it for a very long time was garbage. So, I
Well,
mean, I'm sure I could find something now.
well, even still, with some N64 games, they don't play as great on emulation. I know, like the Indiana Jones game has problems. Like you can't really play that one that great on it. Like even with different emulators, so it still needs some work, but it I would imagine Conquer would play fine.
Was there any other fun facts for today, or was it just conkers?
Oh, there's quite a bit of different history of the day, but
Oh,
that was like the
please.
most interesting to me.
Hit me. Hit me.
Let's see. Let
I'm ready
me
to learn,
go through
baby.
these again. I have to look them up because that was like the one that I thought that was the most interesting. Uh, let's see.
I'm getting hit with some info that the Project 64 is the best N64 emulator. So thank you,
Is it?
Nightwolf. I'll have to look into that at some point. Maybe I could get it working with Launchbox. Who knows?
I was just about to say, is Launchbox still a meme?
It's always going to be me.
Excellent.
Have you You said that you worked on it quite a bit. You haven't finished it though.
No, I haven't. It's a thing that's in progress because I'm getting some resistance between
Mm.
Launchbox and RetroArch, so
Oh,
it's a thing.
gotcha.
I think I put something in wrong because it will launch Nintendo games just fine, but it will not launch Sega games just fine. I have to then go in and do something else to make a Genesis game. It will still launch a Genesis game, but I can't do it an easy way. I have to go in a roundabout way of doing it. Not that I could describe it right now, but the fact of the matter is it's not super duper easy because I really, really do want to get it set up. I'm just a lazy SOB, and I also haven't integrated the Super Nintendo library into it yet. And I want to get it going eventually because it has like roulette, and I can literally do like a complete random stream where I just go over there, click the button, what game are we playing, and then it would give me, you know, a Nintendo or a Super Nintendo or a Sega, and I still have the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance ROMs, get all that shit in there, and literally it just is like, what are we playing tonight? I don't know. We're gonna find out. Launchbox says, boop.
Apparently, you can play PS2 on Launchbox as well. That's something I would love to do, is emulate a PS2. There's quite a few
Yeah,
games I'd love to replay again.
Champions of Norath, baby.
I'm so sad that I got rid of my PS2 and all of my games. I had so many games, and that I unfortunately when I did it, it was a situation where my PS2 was basically gathering dust. I was playing the 360 at the time. Um, Now, if I had to go back, I would gladly have traded in my 360 instead. But at that time, like I said, my PS2 was gathering dust. I needed money for some stuff, so it was like I'm gonna get rid of all this stuff. So I took it into GameStop. Every story that begins with "I took it into GameStop" just adds and ends in sadness. A
Womp, womp,
PS2
womp.
and about 50 games. They were like,
Ooh.
best we can do is $50. Okay, cool. That's fine. I need $50. I'll take it. Please take, you know, this roughly 250, no, not even, probably like $2,500 worth of games and a $200 video game system. Please just take it. I don't care.
Or you got rid of your.
PS2.
It's probably about as much as I got mine, or sold mine for as well, with all the games.
How about you gave your PS2
Luckily,
to
though, I
your
bought a modded Xbox probably 2 years ago, and it has like every Xbox US title on it, and some Europe, and it has Hyperspin, so it has like Genesis, Arcade, NES, some DOS, just tons of different consoles on it, but it does not have PS2 stuff. That's so I really would love to eventually get like a modded PS2, so then I could play games that I had, and then probably some Japanese games that never came to the US as well.
I thought the PS2s, I thought well, except for maybe like the PS1, but I thought most of the PlayStation line was all region unlocked.
No, it wasn't until PS3,
Ah,
I
okay.
believe. Hmm.
I say because I knew with the PS3 and 4, those were not region locked. Because I had a couple of friends who had to get all the anime uwu games like as soon as they came out, so they would order them.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of good. That's what I'm really looking for is quite a few of the anime games that never came to the U.S. that I'd love to try. So hopefully I'll eventually get a decent computer I can run Launchbox or get a modded PS2, which I'll probably more than likely do. Yeah.
Yeah, I like to hit up there. Although I feel like this area is kind of like a desert for thrift stores for like anything of value. But every single time I
Same.
go to a thrift or a Salvation Army or something, I'm always on the lookout for old systems. Specifically, I want to get my hands on an Xbox, an OG Xbox, because that's another one that I actually had to donate to Goodwill because GameStop was like, no, we don't buy those anymore. So I was like, well, this thing is taking up way too much space and I'm not playing it. So I was like, I'm just getting rid of it. But now, years later, I learn all about how the freaking Xbox is a powerhouse emulation station. And I'm just like,
It is.
oh, I wish I had known that before I got rid of it.
I'd recommend doing what I did. I just bought mine completely modded off of Etsy. You can get them fairly cheap off there, depending on what type of hard drive and what you want on it as well, though.
I've seen a few on eBay. I've never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah. Is there any game or consoles that you have got off of like a thrift type store that you wish you would have bought that you saw?
I've come across. It wasn't necessarily. It's a very weird store, and I don't know, and I can't even remember the name of it. But I was living in North Carolina. They had these, like, I don't even necessarily want to say, maybe like almost like an electronics pawn shop. I think would be the easiest way to call it, because they didn't have like typical like secondhand stuff. Like it was all DVDs, Blu-rays, VHS, VCRs, camcorders, stuff like that. And the one that I did find, this was before I was really looking for one, but they had a few N64s, they had a few PlayStations, they had things like that. And at the time I was like, oh, that's really kind of keen. I wouldn't mind picking up some of this stuff. But at that exact point, I wasn't really looking for any of that stuff. Now, like 6 years later, I'm like, well, I wish I would have picked up one or two of those things. But I did buy my wife the DS version of Ocarina of Time, so she was happy about that.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah, I remember there was a Sega Master System at a Goodwill that I went to, and I really regret not picking it up. There was probably like 10 to 15 games with it too. I think it was like $40.
That's not bad.
But I really should have bought it. But I think I just bought like my Dreamcast at the time, so I was just like, do I really need something right now? I have a whole catalog of games I need to buy for the Dreamcast, So, but I wish I would have gotten that because I never really got to play that, especially growing up. Sega's 8-bit console.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some interesting games on it that I got to play like emulated and whatnot, but it'd be cool to actually own the hardware.
Yeah, I only ever played. I think I only played 2 games for the Master System because one of my cousins owned one, and I don't know where this thing went ever. It just kind of, we had it and then it was gone. But I played this one light gun game that was kind of like Duck Hunt,
all right,
more or less. But it was, it was a little more graphic heavy than Duck Hunt. There was a little more going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the only other game I played was Double Dragon. Those were the 2 games I had played on the Master System, and that was it. But I'm sure Beano has played every Master System game.
Yep, that I know what a Master System is. AB, I have played every game.
I knew it. I knew he was the big Master System fan in the class. I just knew it.
I'm so young. Either that or you guys are so old.
Well,
we're just old.
We're a bit older. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like that's the other reason I really like this podcast is because, well, one, I like you guys. You guys are my friends. I want to do stuff with you and hang out with you.
I appreciate that.
But
yeah, you guys are pretty good, I guess.
I really like that. Like, if we all met on the street, like if we never met on the internet, we probably would just walk by each other and not even think twice about it. But it's like, Beano, you're the youngest, so you're gonna have a very different game journey. It's like, Gadget, you're right in the middle, so you're gonna have like similar experiences to me, and then similar experiences to Beano, and then me being the old man in the group, like I'm gonna have just a touch more, gaming experience, because it's just I got to see, from a very young age going forward. So it's like it's very cool to see three different perspectives on the gaming journey. Because like I said, it was interesting that you and I both started on the NES. Because granted, there's, if I'm doing my math right, there's like 10 years age difference between the two of us. But the fact that you still started on the NES, like, that's a lot. Like, at a 10-year age difference, like, the Super Nintendo could have been your leaping point. And then looking back on the NES could be like, why would you want to play those? Like, you know, like, those are so old. But the fact that you actually got to start there is really cool. Like, there's, you know, I'm not meeting as many people who can say, like, I was there when, you know, I got to play.
Yeah, I'm happy that I started with the NES. I got quite lucky with it. My mom just bought it off of like a garage sale, you know, and so I got it when I was probably like 3 or 4, and like I had Goonies 2, and I had like Super Mario Bros. And whatnot. But I played quite a bit of it, but like my real childhood is probably the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first console was the NES. I'm actually kind of surprised you didn't start out with the 2600.
No, that was technically just a touch before me. Not by a lot, but that was just a touch before me. Because honestly, we had just moved from Pennsylvania to North Carolina, and my dad had been working on this job, and thankfully at that time things had been going very well for him. And it wasn't my birthday, it wasn't Christmas, it wasn't anything. My dad was just like, I'm gonna go buy him a Nintendo. And like, a lot of people don't really understand that, like, when the Nintendo came out, depending on which one you bought, it was like a $200 to $300 video game system. And looking back on that, like, just thinking about that is like kind of insane, because now you can buy like a PS4 for $300, and it's just like it's literally mind blowing if you go back and look in time, because even like Nintendo games varied anywhere between like $20 to $50. And if you think like spending $50 to $60 on a game now is like completely unsatisfying, you know, imagine buying freaking Mario Brothers for $50. I mean, yeah, it's got, what, 24 levels, 32 levels, something like that. But if they made Mario Brothers today without any changes and charged $60 for it, people would lose their minds. They would be like, why? Why would you make this game like this?
Well, not just that. Imagine if you got like a game like Jaws or Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or you know, any of the awful NES games where you just thought it would be cool, or your parents said, "Oh, he likes that movie." You know, there's a video game for it, and it's just that's what you got. You know, compared to, you'll have some type of quality with the newer type games, where you know the NES was just, you had, it could be anything.
We have a very bold statement from D. Valroth. Hey, I like Jaws. Well, hey, if you like taking a boat back and forth and occasionally fighting Jaws, then good on you. It's not the game for me. That's all I can say.
I mean, it's not the worst NES like movie-based game.
No, it's completely playable. As a game, it's just boring. But I mean, as an LJN game, it's not complete hot trash, because as soon as you saw that rainbow on that box, like, no, that is an immediate cue to not play that game.
Well, fun fact, actually, my neighbor at the time, he had an NES as well, and he had the Friday the 13th game on the NES. Man, did I love that. It was so cool at the time.
It's because
that
was as close as we could get to something scary. Like,
yeah,
running back and forth wasn't like super duper scary, but going into a cabin and navigating those cabins was a pain in the ass. But then you would get to that one room, and then all of a sudden Jason is there, and like throwing
Scared the
shit
shit
at
out of
you.
me.
Oh yeah, it was like, oh fuck, I can't believe it. And then you're stuck in there and you have to fight them.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
gotta do
I hate
Punch
it.
Out style.
Oh, that's a good question. It's a random Bill says, do you think if Mario came out today, it would do as good as it did when it first came out? Um, I mean, that's kind of such a hard. I think it's a really hard question to answer to an extent. I think if Nintendo had never made Mario and they made Mario now, I feel like Mario Odyssey probably would have been the very first Mario game. I don't know how the evolution of Mario would get there without Super Mario Brothers ever existing in the past, because Super Mario Brothers, just from little bits and pieces I've seen about it, it created not just like really smooth platforming and a continuous like game to play like that. Like I think it's the parallax scrolling in it was like kind of like crazy for the time because it wasn't like each individual screen, like it was one long screen, and it was like crazy. People hadn't really seen anything like that. So like it really kind of created the platforming genre. So
That's what I was gonna say.
with no Super Mario game ever existing until now, would there have been platforming games? I'm sure, but it's hard to say exactly. I mean, that's a very good question, and honestly, I really don't know. I genuinely think if Nintendo had made no Mario games and just now made the game, I genuinely still think they probably would have released Mario Odyssey. I think that would have been their first game. But I would love to hear. Beano's been very quiet because we've been having old man hour over here. So Beano, I would love just any input you have on that question.
I Okay, granted, I haven't played a Mario game for a very long time, but I would be inclined to say probably not. With the way that games are now, with things like, Red Dead Redemption 2 and all of these massive big games where you can just do everything, I don't know that without the past success that Mario has had, I don't know if it would be as successful. I think it would still be popular, but I think a lot of the charm with Mario games is Mario, like this character that we've all come to know and love through decades of Nintendo games. And I think without that, while it might still be good, like good just as a game, I don't know if it would be as popular or successful. Granted, today's gaming landscape, as it were.
Well, with mine, I honestly, if there was no Mario, I don't think gaming today as we know it wouldn't be as it is. We wouldn't have had like Sonic. We wouldn't have like Crash or the next type of platforming type, because if that's what really hit off the platforming type game is Mario. How great it was, and it still is great. And so, and especially with today's world, platforming really isn't the top type of game. So I don't think Mario would do as good as it if it wasn't made back then.
I mean,
Um,
if it was if literally if I'm trying to think of an interesting way to put it. If Nintendo had never made Super Mario Brothers and they released today um, Super Mario Brothers in its form, whether it's just a straight 2D platformer, if they did it in the indie style that is kind of like I kind of think like the 8-bit 16-bit indie style has kind of died down a little bit. But I think if they approached it in that manner, I think that game could be very good. If they release it just if, and I'm putting all sorts of like, I'm pretty sure Bill said if they release it as it was then. If they release that just straight now, even if it was with updated graphics and stuff, I don't think that game would necessarily be good. If that was the first Super Mario game ever, I don't even think like making it with like the biggest best graphics ever in the world are really going to make that game good now. However, if they made that game, if it was the first time they're ever making a Super Mario game and they did it as they have done with future games, if they had in that game, really super clever platforming puzzles, wall jumps, dives, things of that nature that slowly were introduced over time, then yes, I think that game could be good because for them to make that game now, they don't have the limitations that they had when they made that game then. So they could make a very different game of that now than they did then. But it's a very difficult thing.
Well, like Nightwolf just said, though, Mario saved the console gaming world and technically arcades. Like there was the gaming crash of '85. Where video games just weren't doing good, and without like the NES and Mario, that's what kind of saved consoles in general. Would we even have like gaming as we know? Like, I don't know, because I
It's
don't think things would have hit off as it would have without it.
it is a very weird. It's a very weird. It's nothing I've ever thought about. God, this would actually make, because I literally see Bill's question of, is the floor open to continue with questions? I have some that might take a while to answer. I don't want to ask things that you could discuss on other podcasts. And now that we're having this Mario discussion, I genuinely think if we put a little research into it, even if it was just a small segment, I think it would be a very interesting episode to be like, what would video games be without Mario? If Mario never went past his role in Donkey Kong and his role in the Mario Brothers game, not Super Mario Brothers, but the Mario Brothers game where like you bonk the turtles
pipes
from underneath. Like if that was the end of Mario, if nobody at Nintendo was like, let's continue forward with this as our mascot character, like it would be very interesting to see, because I feel like arcades may have been a bit more prevalent a bit longer,
Yeah.
because I think home consoles were going to happen because people wanted to play video games. But I'm not going to take further content from this possible idea. But it's definitely that is such a fascinating topic, and I never really put any thought into it.
Such an interesting hypothetical about how this one little Japanese Italian plumber shaped the entire landscape of what we know and love. Would we be here doing this right now? This three beans in
I
a
don't
pod
know.
if it wasn't for Mario?
Yeah,
I
it's crazy.
I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna give it to Mario. I don't think it would have been the same way as it was or it is. And with Bill, I think we might as well just have Q&A first. So I think you guys can ask away. Then we can do the streaming journey at the end. I think that since we're going this way anyway,
Everybody get on
if you
Twitter
guys are okay with that.
and use hashtag Thank You Mario.
Italian plumber from Japan saves gaming.
It's a me, a racist stereotype.
But then without Mario, you got to wonder what would have, because I don't think platforming would have took off as it did. What would have filled the gap?
I mean, I want to sit here and say that I feel like we would have got Sonic even without Mario. I don't know if we would have got Sonic in the same respect we got, though. So I don't know if Sonic even necessarily would have been the launching point, because the reason even the Genesis and Sonic was a whole thing is because like Sega does what Nintendo don't. So like that
Yeah.
Genesis came out and did the things that Nintendo couldn't do, like blast processing, like all these amazing things, and that absolutely atrocious keyboard. But it was just, I don't know. I don't No, I mean platforming would have existed. Like D Valros says, Turrican and Commander Keen existed, so platforming would have come about. I just don't
I don't really think
know.
of Turrican as a platformer though. It's more of a shoot 'em up. You know, like Super Turrican and all those. It's like a Contra.
It's still, I mean, like those types of like
Controversial opinion.
those types of like run and guns are kind of like platformers too. Like to an extent, I think Contra is a platformer, even though it is a run and
Really?
gun. Yes, you jump from platform to platform. There's literally a stage where you have to jump up
Yeah.
from platform to platform. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just you don't jump
When I
on things' heads.
like Val said, I kind of think of like Pitfall. Yeah, that did come first. I consider that like a platformer. So, but I don't know.
But no, if we're just constantly falling back on that, if there's no Mario, if there's no Mario, then I I don't think there would be Nintendo, because Nintendo was like making like the Game and Watch stuff, and they were a card game company, and they had like Donkey
There were
Kong.
hotel chains.
Yeah, it's like if they didn't have Mario as that big leaping point, because even if you say they released the Nintendo with, let's say they released the Nintendo with the complete opposite, and we got the dual cart was Duck Hunt
Duck Hunt.
and what the hell was that one game with the pad that you jumped on? It was like there was one that was a triple cart that was like Mario, Duck Hunt, and and I can't remember the name of the game, but it was one of the stupid like track and field or something like that, and you had the little power pad. It
Yeah.
was track and field. Okay, thank you, Valroth. You ran on the pad. If that had been the launch, I think Nintendo would have been dead in the water. Just immediately, just dead in the water,
Wow.
because
So does
they have a
please.
game that is a light gun game and either using an accessory to properly play the game, or a controller where you're going to break your fingers playing the game, and neither of those games are going to have any depth. And unless they came up with something like really quick after that, because if they're releasing that, like, no, they're not going to get a lot of like, I don't think a lot of people are going to be like third party jump on at that point, because it's like, oh, these are the games, one gun game and a weird pad accessory game. Like, maybe the Master System. We'll stay with the Master System, and who knows? Maybe instead of Final Fantasy games, we would have Fantasy Star
Oh God, I
24 at
wish.
this point. Something of that nature. But I don't know. It's a very weird area. So it's like I really don't know what the video game world would be like without Mario, because I feel like without Mario there probably wouldn't have been much of a future for Nintendo. And I know that's probably like a little too bold of a statement, because they do have so many great IPs, but like Valra said, Zelda probably would have been the killer. And it's like, but would
But
they
would
have
Zelda have came with Mario without Mario? You mean?
yeah, it's like, would they have had the ability to be like, okay, well, we did this really safe game. Now we're going to make Zelda. And it's like, would they have had the money to do that? Would they have had the money to make a Zelda game? So it's like, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy.
I was
When
thinking
you
the
think
same
about
with
it,
Pokemon. If you
yeah.
didn't have Mario, would we have even had Pokemon? Could Pokemon have been the thing to carry Nintendo to success, or would Pokemon have not even existed if it wasn't for Mario bringing that revenue into Nintendo, so they could then go and make something like Pokemon?
Well, and
Well, I'm curious if Nintendo would have done stuff as well, just like Taco said, because before Mario, it was a lot of arcadey type games. You know, all the black box games were arcade types. You know, Mario was the one that really had different stages and different worlds and continuing on. So I honestly don't think that Nintendo would have had the budget or possibly creativity to branch out like they did with Mario into like a Zelda or Metroid, you know.
we'll see, and that's why,
So
and like, Beano was just saying about Pokemon, and correct me if I'm wrong. Um, Pokemon was a like made by Game Freak and
Mm-hmm.
then licensed to Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I mean, in theory, Pokemon, unless Game Freak is like in a studio within Nintendo, which it could be, and I'm just talking out my butthole here, but I think Pokemon would have existed, but maybe not Nintendo. Maybe we're
Also,
maybe
was
we're doing a little too a hot take on Nintendo. I don't know, but I mean, it's like to say that everything Nintendo hinged on Mario is a little intense, because I am seeing a lot of things in chat about arcade games and things of that nature. Uh, but I mean, would they have almost turned into kind of like Sega did? Would they have just been a publisher at that point, as opposed to a publisher and a hardware developer? Like, would we see hundreds of Nintendo arcade games?
ooh, now, oh boy,
But
now I have a good topic for next time. Oh, I have. What if Nintendo and Sega did the opposite, where Sega kept going and Nintendo ran out and just became developers? That'd be a fun topic.
oh man, back
Oh,
to back. Do I want to become famous as in chat? Baby,
The
the bots
old
are hot today.
but yeah, I think we should save this Mario debate. It seems like we have quite a bit to talk about,
I think it
and
could.
if we do our research, I think it could be good.
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I feel like if we got a super deep dive into it to actually look at like the full economics and everything of it, I think it could make almost a whole podcast. But depending on how much we actually scrap together, and of course it's all going to be hypothetical. It's all going to be like our opinions based on if Mario didn't exist. If nothing
Yeah,
else, it will definitely be a very interesting segment. So I think
yeah,
this is definitely a good launching point for maybe not necessarily the next episode, but definitely somebody DM me hashtag no Mario, no Nintendo.
Get that trending on Twitter and see what happens.
Hell yeah. Um, so I think, and I know Bill had another question, but if he wants to ask that a little bit later, maybe we'll tackle it. I kind of want to jump into our streaming journey, because that will kind of lead us into, uh,
the Q&A.
yeah, it's going to bring us into the Q&A, and it's going to bring us into like, why we wanted to make the podcast, which I don't think will be a super duper long story, but the fact of the matter is, it's kind of like, comes full circle. So whereas I said last time, Gadget, please go first. Beano Supremo, would you be so kind as to tell us about your journey into the world of streaming?
I would be honored, fam. So for me, streaming is something that I'd thought about doing. Like I sort of hummed and hawed about actually doing it for a long time. I even got to. I had a friend of a friend that streamed. I don't think he does anymore, but he did. And he'd have us on to play Battlefield 5 on his stream, and we'd all just shoot the shit. And I got him to make like starting and ending screens for me. Like I was ready to go, but I just sort of never did anything with it. And then when I was studying my degree at university, I did a Bachelor of Digital Media at Central Queensland University. One of the classes in the last year, in the final term, was just a digital media project. So you come up with a project proposal, you discuss that with the unit coordinator, you come up with a set of deliverable project outcomes that you can be graded on, and if everybody is happy, then that is just the 12-week trimester is just working on that project. So I was very fortunate that the boss for that unit, his name was Jim. He was the best thing about my university was Jim, and he was a huge gaming fan to the point where he literally told me that his wife got the shits with him because he just played games too much. And I was like, Jim, I'm a student. Is this anyway? So I said to Jim, I said, look, what I'd like to do is 3 3-hour streams every week. So by the end of the 10-week period because you do 2 weeks of planning and then the project for 10 weeks. By the end of this period, I'll have done 30 streams. And every week I'll take all of those, chop them into a highlight video and put them onto YouTube. And I think the way that I sold it was live video and audio production and video post-production or something. I don't know. It ended up with me being able to play video games for 9 hours a week and hang out with people and call it uni work. So that's really where I started. The whole point of the project was to make something for a portfolio that you could then use to gain employment. Like people are making websites or music videos or photography showcases or whatever. But I said to Jim, I was like, in an ideal world, this would be a job. But realistically speaking, it's just something that I would like to do. So that was where it started for me, was work as part of my degree was streaming, playing games. And I remember one day I think it was my second week of streaming. So it was probably the 4th or 5th stream that I'd ever done in my entire life. I'm sitting there, I'm playing Dying Light, just sort of vibing, just no people watching, just sort of chatting to myself. This person called Moonlit 101 comes into the stream and starts chatting, like, would you recommend this game to somebody that doesn't do horror games? And we just started chatting. And then from there, I went into her stream and started chatting to guys like Gadget and Audio, who then came back into my stream when I was playing Outer Wilds. And it sort of spidered out from there. I think Gadget one day we raided into a Taco Family Feud stream. And then Taco, you'd come to my late night racing streams. So it all spiraled out from Moon coming into that one random Thursday afternoon playing Dying Light. So there's so much, I think about it a bit, there's so many things that if they happened differently, none of this would have happened. Regardless of if my project had been turned away, I probably would not have started streaming. If I'd streamed on different days, if I hadn't been streaming Dying Light on that afternoon, if Moon hadn't come in while I was doing that stream, probably none of this would be happening. But now here we are, 7-8 months later, cracked 100 followers last week or the week before. And I would be very disappointed in myself if I didn't continue this for the next God knows however long. So it blows my mind that this random project with my university has transformed into this. And it's great. I've loved every minute of it.
No, that's awesome, dude. That is. I mean, I'm gonna have kind of a similar ending to that, the way it kind of plays out. But no, I love the fact that literally yours was just kind of like how can I play video games for schoolwork?
Yes.
I
yeah,
love.
those are amazing.
I love that.
I was saying to my mum, I was like, how can I word this in such a way to make it not sound like all I want to do is play games and pretend it's work? And it got bad because I called it networking, right? I'd forego all of my other uni work to sit here on Twitch, watch other people, go into their chats, whatever, and I was like, yes, I am working. And I'm just sitting here watching Taco play Family Feud or something, and I was like, yes, this is work. This is my education, baby.
And I also want to circle back to congratulations on 100 followers. It's always getting the followers is just it doesn't matter what the number is. Every single time, it feels like there's a certain number that's always a milestone. Probably the biggest milestone, at least sequentially on Twitch, it feels is 50. Because it's once you hit 50, then you're really on the road to affiliate. And then, of course, 100 is always it's 100. 100 is the number. You know what I mean? Everybody wants 100. And then it's kind of it's after that, it's what number is most important to you after that. But I feel when it comes to streaming, specifically on Twitch, 50 and then 100, I feel those are for starting out are the big achievement numbers. So and somebody else might have 1,000 followers right now or whatever, but it's even to just take that time to they had to be 100 at one point. So it's you are still growing, you're still getting your audience, and reaching 100 is a big achievement. So congratulations to you, sir.
I appreciate
Definitely
you.
congrats, man.
Thank you. It was such a shock when it happened because I think I was setting up my own stream and I was in Salty Reaper's chat, I think, and they were
Yeah.
just doing a follow train. So I was just sitting there watching him play The Last of Us or something with OBS on my second screen, and Land Down Under just starts playing, and I was like, "Why does he have Land Down Under in his stream? That's my gimmick. How dare he?" But it was just people following me, and I was like, "Excuse me." And that was the bump from like 95 to 100 was just happening to vibe in Salty Reaper's chat that morning.
That's funny. Yeah, I've had similar circumstances where I'm just like chilling on my computer and I just happen to have OBS open because I'm like working on a scene or I'm just working on something random, and I'll just be like on my other screen just kind of working on something, and then all of a sudden I hear someone hand that man a taco, and I'm like, what the hell? I was like, my alarm just randomly? Like, I didn't test my alarm, and then I go and I look at my Twitch like stream manager, and then it's like, user 422 has followed you, and it's like, okay, well, thanks for following me off stream. I really appreciate that, but it's like it was so weird. Just all of a sudden, like minding my own business, somebody hand that man a taco.
And then body visualizer. You're right, Valroth. It all leads back to body visualizer.
It's always the body visualizer and the farts. It's always the farts. And I want to apologize to everybody. I'm sure people have looked through the channel points. I'm sure people have scrolled down looking for blurp. Those are some regular things that will be returning to the channel after the podcast, because to be 100% honest, I really did not want to have a bunch of, loud
That's
sound
understandable.
and farts and all these other random things during the podcast, because I was talking with Beano about this earlier, about how, I kind of want to move the audio into, take the audio from this and move into an audio form, and then also re-upload this to YouTube, just so we can get, get the 3 beans in a pod out there, baby. So, yeah. So, like I said, if you're expecting farts and blurps, come back Wednesday for Mario Day. We'll have plenty of farts and burps and blurps, and we'll have burps. Trust me, we'll have burps and yawns and nonsense. But I'll go next. I'm going to save Gadget for last on this one, because his story is the one I know the least about, so I'm very interested to learn it. Like, I knew some of the bits of Beano's, but like now hearing the whole thing, like, it's very, very intriguing. My journey to streaming has been a bit all over the place. I really had no interest in streaming for a very long time. I kind of thought the whole YouTube and Twitch thing was very gimmicky and for the kids, and YouTube was just for like viral videos of like, oh, did you see that guy getting kicked in the nuts? Like, okay, that's what YouTube is. And so I never really paid any attention to those things. But then I had a buddy who I was working with, and he was like, oh, have you heard of Game Grumps? Have you heard of JonTron? Have you heard of Vinny and Joel from Vinesauce? Have you heard of Video Game Donkey? And I was like, don't know what any of these words that you're saying are right now. I don't know these words. And he was like, oh, I'll show you. So, we're on our cellular devices at work, and he's showing me all these like random ass like YouTubers, and I was like, oh. I didn't know YouTube had like content I would actually want to watch. So I'm watching all that stuff, and then I'm getting on like Achievement Hunter and the Rooster Teeth things and all. Like, it was a downward spiral into gaming YouTube, and that's where I finally was talking to my buddy, and I was like, listen, I want to do a Game Grumps with you, like you and me. I don't know what we're gonna be, but we're gonna do this thing together. But he was a big poop head, and I could never talk him into doing it. He had like a little too much stage fright about it. He was like, nobody's gonna listen to me. I'm not comfortable doing it. So I was like, I've already bought the stuff. I have the equipment. I'm gonna start. So I started recording just like, what I thought was popular at the time, different, things that I was interested in, and I saw, like, of course, GTA 5 is, like, hugely popular, so let me make some GTA 5 videos. Let me make some videos about, Mega Man, some stuff like that. And my YouTube channel...
Battle Block Theater.
Yep, Battle Block Theater, baby. It never really kicked off for a very long time. Like I did finally hit like 100 subscribers on YouTube, and it was like, this is a thing. But during that time, some other random YouTubers that I had found, because I was always trying to find new people to learn from or watch, and I've always taken an interest in usually smaller creators because I like to see people grow. I like to see how people start and then continue on. So I started watching all these different people, and then I saw that they were streaming on either Twitch, or at the time there was another service called Hitbox. So I was watching kind of back and forth on that, and at that time I was becoming like a Hitbox guy. And there was a lot of people on Hitbox that I was watching, and I'm like, oh, this is a lot of fun. Like, there's not a huge audience here, but the people on Hitbox seem to be very, like, if they come in and watch you, they kind of hang out. It was a lot different than, like, when I did Twitch many, many years ago. Like, I never really felt like I had anybody coming in. But unfortunately, my computer was a bit garbage, so streaming for me for a very long time wasn't really a possibility, not with any real quality. So I just kind of had to dip out of the streaming game. But I've always enjoyed creating content. So I continued to work on YouTube, and my YouTube channel kind of evolved over time. When I first came out, I was known as Now's the Time for Show. And when that came out, I didn't want to shoehorn myself into just gaming. I always wanted to be more than just gaming. I wanted to be, let's play videos, video game reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, like all of this stuff. So for a very long time, when the gaming part wasn't really pulling off, I was like, well, I collect all these comic books. I'm going to the comic shop every week. Why not? Like, let's just show people what comic books I'm buying. And when I started doing like my weekly pull list videos, I was pulling in like a whole new audience. I was pulling in comic book collectors, and we were talking about like, what book was hot right now that you got? What are you reading that, that's really good right now? And that led me into like my comic book phase, and I was doing, some comic book reviews and some different edited videos like that, and that was a lot of fun. And at that time, I had a newer computer, so I got to test out a little bit more with streaming. So I was streaming a little bit to YouTube at the time, but I just couldn't, again, do it with any real like consistency. So I kind of fell out of the streaming game again. I kept dabbling my toe, just testing those waters, but like never just really committing to it. And it wasn't until the PS4, I got my PS4, and I learned that I could straight stream from the PS4. That kind of changed it a little bit. I started on YouTube again because I was like, Twitch just seems saturated. I'm not gonna, go there. If I can stream to YouTube, I'm gonna try and stream to YouTube. So I did playthroughs of the Sony Spider-Man game, Alien Isolation, Puyo Puyo Tetris 1. Like, I did a lot of these streams on YouTube. And I kept streaming and I kept streaming. And it just, I would get like, other than if it was my buddies, I would get like one or two people. And I just was like, I'm still not seeing, like, I feel like I'm not going to make it just streaming off of my PlayStation. And I still kept going, and then one day I just decided that, you know what? I'm just going to stream on Twitch. I'm just going to stream on Twitch and see what happens. So I stopped streaming on YouTube, and I started streaming exclusively on Twitch. And again, brought my buddies with me. They're always there to support me, which I'm super helpful. It's not super helpful, super grateful that you guys have been there with me since like day one of this YouTube journey. My buddies Mike, Charlie, and Jesse, like, they've carried me through to the point where I am now. But I started getting more and more on Twitch, and I started, I had, like, I've always said my inspirations for streaming have been like Vinny and Joel. So like when I actually received a compliment from a random viewer one day, they were like, oh, I get, Vinny from Vine Sauce Feels from you. Like, I was like, oh, huh, good, I'm doing something right. Like, I appreciate that. But there were, you know, other YouTubers and stuff like Bruce from Funhouse, Bruce Green, Adam, Rip, and James. Like those guys were like huge influences on me more recently as far as like content creation and how to interact with people, which is why I actually love having. Not to say that my buddies I game with aren't there, but like I love having other people who are content creators to like kind of do it with. But it was because of Bruce to some extent that I have reached the point I have. Um, I just started to more and more randomly go into Bruce's streams, and I liked going there, if not even necessarily just to watch him, but the sense of community there is just it's so good. It's amazing the community that he has built there. And when I started just seeing people be like, oh, hey, thanks Gooses for, coming over. We just hit affiliate. Oh, hey, thanks for helping me out yesterday. You were the only people on my stream, blah, blah, blah. I saw a Ginger Pleb posted like, hey, I just hit affiliate. I'm going to have an affiliate thing, come over. So I dropped him a follow and I was like, oh, I'm going to go check him out. So I'm watching a Ginger Pleb and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then I'm seeing people like Moon and Gadget popping up in there, and they're all pretty regular and we're all chatting and having a good time. And then it just kind of all kept, steamrolling from that point, where, I'm meeting, it's a random bill for meeting all of you guys, and Beano from all of you guys. And I just keep meeting more and more people, and it's become like it's hard for me to look at my current situation and be like I have a community, because I almost feel like my community and Moon's community and Benny and Bill's community, like we're one really big streaming community that's just kind of like splintered to to an extent, like different divisions almost. I don't really know how to properly say it, but it's become like this really big happy streaming family. And if you guys were here Wednesday night for the post the post body melt
pre-podcast,
yeah, the pre-podcast where Adam may have been a little inebriated, but he got real and real emotional that you guys have made streaming, like I feel like it's a real viable and possible future for me. Shut up, Bill. A random Bill just said a little. Yes, I was a little gattered, as you say.
Long Island iced tea, baby.
Baby. But it's like no, I really mean that. Like even in my personal life, my wife has been like, she's like, you finally found something that you are like really passionate about. And it's like it's taken me a very long time to find something that like I genuinely want to put more and more effort into. And that's why something like this I think is so important, because it's not just my community watching it. It's not just Gadget's community. It's all of our communities now have a way to come together and interact more, and that's something that like I really want to see, and it's so great to hear from everybody. There is nobody thus far that I have interacted with on a regular basis that has not wanted every single person to succeed and succeed more than where they're at. And that type of support getting here, especially in, at the end of the day, like it's still cutthroat competition. Like when I stream, I don't get to choose normal days. I just get to choose when I get to. And I hate that I have to stream against Beano, or I hate that I have to stream against Gadget. But it's unfortunately, it's a thing that happens. But, that's why I'm also thankful that raids are a thing. So if I end before Beano, boom, I bring over people to him. If I end before Gadget, boom, I bring people over to him, and vice versa. and it's great that we want to share the people who come to us and go like, these are good people, these are safe people, these are people that you need to watch. Like I trust the people that watch me to watch you. And that's something that, I haven't experienced a lot of outside of like streaming as far as content creation. It's YouTube especially felt very cutthroat. Like it felt like more people were using you than actually wanting to do stuff with you. So it's been a very weird journey for me going from YouTube and Twitch are just silly things for the youths of America to now I feel like if I continue to put in the hard work, if I continue to do new things, if I continue to just put myself out there and keep having new opportunities, I genuinely feel like streaming could be a viable job. And it's part of like you and Gadget and Beano here, and that's I mean it's incredible, and I'm very very thankful that you guys are even taking this time to work on a podcast because it's very hard. Gadget and I are on a 1 hour time difference, and Beano is currently in Saturday. So it's like it's to even get something together like this is crazy. And like you were like, if Moon hadn't popped in your stream that one day, if you hadn't been streaming that one time, like would we be where we are? If I hadn't gone to Bruce's stream that one time and seen a ginger pleb talk about his affiliate, would I have been with you guys? Like it's such a crazy like mix of coincidences that have led to where I am now and what I'm doing now. I'll shut up now. I'm good. That's my stream journey.
Pretty good story. I wouldn't have stuff I didn't know for both of you. It's pretty cool. All right, so that's me then, huh? Well, I did not plan on streaming at all. It's not something I wanted to do. Do I start with how I got to Twitch? Or yeah, I guess so. Well, how it started was I was a fan of like Funhouse as well, and Bruce left and he started doing Twitch, and so I was like, hey, you know what? He was probably my favorite out of the Funhouse group, honestly, was Bruce, and I do like Adam a lot too, and it's sad that he's gone. So I went to Twitch. I never really thought about it at the time. Like, I never really watched Twitch either. And so I had a good time in his stream. I joined his Discord, and that's where I met Dork Chop. We started talking wrestling and whatnot. We had a lot of fun talking wrestling with other people. And he eventually made his own Discord so we could all just watch AEW Dynamite together. That's how Dork Chop's Discord started. And he did some streaming on the side, and me, Leanda, and Pharaoh, we were like the main people in his streams. And he eventually hit affiliate, and that was a great time, and that got Leanda into streaming at the time. He didn't have a mic or cam. Me and him were great buddies. And I figured, you know what? He's streaming. Well, and he doesn't have a cam or a mic. You know what? I think I can one-up this bastard. So so I started streaming with the mic on and whatnot and starting to talk. And I think I did Dead Rising 2 as my first stream. And it was just for fun. I didn't really take it serious at all, and streamed every now and then. And then Leanda met Moon, and he was like, "Hey, I met this person. Do you play Dead by Daylight?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to play it a ton." So that's how I met Moon. We all played Dead by Daylight together, and a buddy of mine was Audio Blood, so we we all started playing Dead by Daylight together, and how Moonions actually the Discord came about was because it was like, hey, we should have a Discord so we could all talk together, Well, we play because I'm on Xbox, Audio's on PS4, so we can't do like the voice chat. So I made the Moonions Discord for us to talk, just DBD, and then I was like, Moon was starting to hit off on the streams, get popular, and she wanted to have her own Discord. So I was just, here, take it, make it yours. So that's how Moonions is now. But at the time, I was really into, for streaming wise, I wanted to be in a group. So, and us four, we became the Dream Stream team, as we called it at the time. Our goal was to get better and meet people, and like we would help each other out, gain follows and hit affiliate. That was our goal, was all of us to hit affiliate. Leanda hit it, and then Moon did, and then I did, then Audio. But our goal was just to help each other out. Eventually, it just kind of halted. Leanda and Moon and Audio started to work a whole lot, and Leanda started to branch. He got his own. He still does so good on his solo streams, and Moon was doing good on hers too. I kind of had a tough time finding my voice, but I really wasn't too motivated into streaming. My big goal, and it still is like streaming for me is the secondary part. It's my favorite part of the whole stream game is helping guys like Beano and Taco, and like just getting people bigger than they were, or just trying to help as much as I possibly can. So with Beano, I remember Moon got a Bruce raid, and I wanted to give it to Beano after, because she had a guide the raid option, so he could hit affiliate. But welcome back, Moon. Oh,
I forgot the UFC thing was going on right now too. Dork Chop's doing circling back to Dork Chop real quick. Dork Chop is doing a big UFC thing of people created within the community, and this is 2 weeks in a row now that I have not got to watch it. I got to see bits and pieces of it last time. It is super duper fun. I'm just gonna throw in the free plug for Dork Chop right now. Go to twitch.tv/Dork Chop. Is it Dork _ Chop, or is it just Dork Chop?
_
It is _ Chop.
Okay. I thought it was Dork _ Chop. I just wanted to double check. But yeah. He is an absolutely wonderful content creator. He has so many fun interactive things within his channel points. He's just a wonderful guy to vibe with, talk with, especially if you're talking wrestling or something of that nature. He just had the whole Texas power outage fiasco he went through, but he is back to it better than ever, and he is doing this Ultimate Fighting Chop House deal that is just, he has put his heart and soul into this event, and it's so good. So if you have the opportunity, please check him out. I can't recommend him more. The only way I can possibly recommend him more is the fact that he has a channel point redemption for Steiner math, and it costs 6,623 points, which is the most brilliant point cost for that, because Scott Steiner sits there and goes, I have a 66 2/3 chance of winning. So making it 6,623 points is just, I save my points all the time. But please, Gadget, please continue.
Yeah, all right. Well, with, like I said, when Moon and I and Leanda's Audio's little DST kind of ended, I had a bit of a tough time trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And luckily, like I was already just my goal was just trying to help out people like Beano and Taco and so many others. That's still my goal. Like I really like my favorite stuff is this kind of thing right now that we're doing, our multi-stream days or Saturdays for Beano. But so I like it's still tough for me to figure out what I want to do. I'm still trying to figure out what I or like my voice for streaming. It's still secondary to me. I'm kind of I don't know, but but yeah, with the whole goal for me is like I said to help out and get people to where they're at. And so I still try to find new people that I can help out or just better like this community that we have built like with Moon, Bill, Landa, Audio, Dork Chop, you know. Thank God that we all found one another and we got to make this what it is now, because if it wasn't for Dork Chop, I wouldn't have met Landa or Moon. We wouldn't have had this whole thing go as it was. I wouldn't have met you guys. And we wouldn't be doing this right now for certain. But the whole podcast idea, I was wanting to do one because we had the multi-stream going on for quite a while with Beano and me, and Taco would join in too. And it's just that's my favorite part of like my streams is that I make sure to do that. Like I might miss like Tuesdays sometimes, but I'll make sure that we do the multi-stream Friday or Saturday. And I was like, hey, you know what? Let's do this. We have so much fun just talking while we're streaming, you know, like playing a game. Why don't we just talk? I think the viewers might enjoy that. We definitely enjoy just shooting the shit, you know. So yeah. So here we are now. We started talking about this early January, maybe late December. I don't remember. It's been on. We've been working on it for quite a while, and thankfully we're here now and get to do it.
Yep, that is more or less the ins and outs of it, the tops and bottoms of it, whatever other random phrase you want to, you know, tie a bow on it. That's our streaming brought us together for this. And I mean, like you were saying, like it's just fun to shoot the shit. That was literally Beano and I this morning, where we were just kind of testing stuff out on OBS, and it started with like, okay, here's an idea I have, and Beano would show me something, and I'm like, okay, well, this is something I'm working on, and then I would show him. But then after that, it turned into Adam knows nothing about Australia, while Beano shows me, you know, where Russell Crowe lives and where all the snakes live, and the bike ride he wants to take. Like
old guy that kicks a brown snake in the face.
Hell yeah. Beano, if you can find that and just link that in chat for everybody, so they can watch the old dude kicking the third most deadly venomous snake in the world. This old dude just boots him in the face twice, and it's pretty amazing. But it was a lot of fun, and it's like I didn't want to get done for the sense of like I was done talking to Beano. Honestly, if I had sat there, I probably could have just shot the shit so much longer, just like going back and forth screen sharing on Discord, just being like, well, since you've shown me that dumb video, let me show you this now. But I wanted my sweet little baby boy to get some sleep. But then, sure enough, I checked Twitter. I don't know, half hour later, all of a sudden it's like, I want F1 car, and I'm like, thought he was going to bed. Thought he was going to bed.
It was like that because it was like 1 o'clock my time by the time we finished, and that entire time it was like 2 hours. We were just vibing. My phone was over on my bedside table, so I jumped off my computer, went and grabbed my phone, and there was just notifications for days. I was like 40 of them, and I was like, bad things have happened. So I saw all that, and like, oh, Williams has released a new livery for the 2021 F1 car. Oh, this has happened, and I was like, oh, there's no time for sleep. I need answers. And then it was 2 o'clock.
I'm saying I'm seeing Bill's wall of text. It's a random bill says, "This is a great idea. Podcasts are always a win. It helps bring people who are close together, but then others get a little bit more of an insight into how everyone on the podcast is, as they are talking about all different things, not just talking about the game they are playing. I am all for it." So thank you for the encouraging words. It's a random bill.
But like you said earlier about how YouTube game was for you, where it seemed like everybody was kind of out for themselves, not really wanting to do collabs or help one another out. I'm so proud of like the community that Moon, Leyenda, and I in audio, plus Dork, definitely Dork too. We've all found each other and have honestly made what is what it is now. You know, we've all branched out and found guys like Beano and you, Taco, and brought us all to where we are now. And I'm so proud of the community that we do have, where we just want to see each other get better and better and get more follows or more subs and keep growing, you know, and achieve that dream. So like Moon said, you know, the dream team of what we had is gone, but the love never did leave. The whole goal is still there of us trying to, you know, help one another out and still build. It's just not us four. Now it's everyone in the Moonions and every other Discord that we're in.
It's so crazy how, just like we were saying, that whole Mario spiel, how different things would be if Mario never came to fruition. How different each one of our lives would be if just one tiny little thing was ever so slightly different. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah, and it keeps falling back on that, and we're probably gonna run it into the ground with what we're saying, but it's like, it's the community, and I'm not saying that just in the sense of like, you know, we're building followers or we're trying to build ourselves. Like that's not even what it is. It's this actual community of streamers and gamers and people who are just viewers are on these discords. They don't even necessarily stream. They're just people who are just like to vibe with everybody, and it's the fact that everybody, like I said, everybody so far, you know, fingers crossed going forward, but everybody seems to have a super duper good judge of character, and everybody seems to be super duper chill, and it's so awesome that we have that ability to bring that vibe everywhere. There, I have not run into any person here who has been like, well, I'm in this Discord now, so please come watch my stream, and then they like disappear, and then the next time they stream they're like, please watch my stream. Like it's literally just everybody working together for everybody to be successful. So it's really really cool to not just feel like you're swimming in an ocean that is Twitch. It's, I mean, I've said it 1,000 times, and I said it earlier too. Like I would like to be able to go into work, give them a 2-week notice, and then piss off. Like I would love to be able to do that. I would love to be able to sit in front of this computer like scheduled times all the time and just have a revenue coming in from this. Like that would and that's why I said, like, I feel like that's something that is accomplishable. But I will preface that with, if I stopped growing right now, would I be frustrated? Probably. I think anybody would be. But the fact of the matter is, I'm happy doing something. Streaming is always just, I go out of my mind every time I do it. Like, I put a lot of pressure on myself going into it, but the fact of the matter is, I love every second of it. I love that, even though I know I'm going to be streaming Paper Mario, guess what? 20 minutes into Paper Mario, somebody says something just completely off the wall or something stupid happens. Well, now for the next 40 minutes, we're going to be making a wild boar Hogzilla thing. And
Hogzilla.
though those are the moments on streaming that like I like live for. That like I enjoy playing my games. I enjoy chatting with people. Like I think my Bloodstained series is probably one of the most vanilla I've probably done. It's like it's usually just the game and we're just hanging out, vibing and playing the game. But there have been so many other times where I've just been streaming something, and then we have the birth of the Pog Bean. We've got Hogzilla. We had the Wednesday night trash extravaganza. Like there's so much stuff, but it's so good. All of it is so good, and it's great to take as Ghost in the Shelley. Ghost in the Shelley. I have not had anything to drink today, I promise. Just said part of streaming is failing and learning from it. And there's even on my most successful streams, like I have to look at it and be like, what did I do? What did I do that was so good this time that really popped off? What can I do here to make that keep going? And I have not had any like interactive hobbies like this where I had that kind of passion where like I'm digging into my analytics. I'm going back and watching my streams. I'm, checking my audio. I'm doing all of these things to make sure that I am doing the best job I can to stand out in a freaking sea of people who are the exact same as me. Like you turn on Twitch, you're going to see a sea of white men 18 to 35. Yes, I know I'm 38, but the fact of the matter is that's a demographic. 18 to 35. And how am I going to be different from this person to make people want to watch? And that's what I love about this. I love that not only am I pushing myself, but I have people who are pushing me to continue to grow. Like I'll say one more thing before I bounce off on that statement. But like last year when we were starting to get some growth, we had the 24-hour stream. Beano made the statement of Dr. Taco for partner 2020. And I was like, that is the boldest statement, but I appreciated it. I appreciated it so much because that was one of the first times somebody really and I didn't feel like Beano was just saying it. Like I genuinely felt like he was saying to me, you have the ability to push for it. And I've had this conversation with It's a Random Bill. I've had this conversation with my wife. And everybody keeps saying, like, just keep going. Like, you're doing great. And that's why that's all I have. And I do want to give one more quick shout out to my wife, who I love more than anything in the whole world. I know she's not here to hear it, but she legitimately... she saw the change in me. She saw how much I'm growing, how much I'm doing, and how much passion I have for it. And she absolutely loves it. And she's been so super duper supportive during this whole thing. So that's all I have as far as the streaming journey and podcast. If you guys have more to add, please feel free to add it. Otherwise, I think we're good to move on to if Beano wants to do his little segment before we jump completely into the Q&A.
I do have a bit. So everybody that's been to one of my streams and also to literally any of Taco's streams knows that my gimmick is my culture. Australia is my bit. We have Emu Wars, we have all sorts of stuff. Beano versus Giant Spider, I'd believe it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity to try and teach you guys, both you and Gadget and all these people in chat, a little bit about Australian culture. So whether it's a crazy fact or a story about somebody, or today I've got some slang terms that I thought I could teach you so that we can better understand this country that definitely isn't made up, where everybody definitely isn't paid actors. So I have 5 slang terms written down here. I'm gonna read them out, and I want you guys to try and guess what they mean for a start. All right. So the first one is a nice easy one.
Hydrate, all right.
True blue. What do you guys reckon true blue means? It's common peak Australia, true blue.
For me, true blue, if it means kind of, I think we have something similar in America. Usually, when somebody says true blue, they're usually speaking about somebody who is like their closest, most reliable, trusted friend. Like this, he's a true blue friend through and through. I don't know if that carries across the pond, but to the best of my knowledge, that's what true blue is.
It's more or less the same. Here, true blue is just someone that's genuine. Like if they're somebody that you can rely on, someone that's no BS, and they're just a true blue bloke. So that's
A
fairly
true
simple.
blue mate.
True blue.
Good day.
G'day. Why am I putting on an Australian accent to say g'day?
Please, can you do a caricature of yourself?
Nope. Maybe give me some Long Island iced teas and we'll see what we can do. All right, this next one, I say this all the time. This is like every second word is this, even though it's kind of 3 words. Chock-a-block. If something is chock-a-block, or often abbreviated to chockers.
Gadget, I'll let you go first on that one if you have any idea.
Chock-a-block. I don't know. It sounds like some type of slang, like off the chain to me. You know, like something intent, like hype, or just far out there or crazy. That's my guess. Like
Interesting.
it was chock-a-block, mate. I don't know.
Would you like me to use it in a sentence?
Sure.
Oh, yes, please.
I've gone to the pub for a beer, but it was chock-a-block or chockers. Or I'm trying to find a park, but this car park is chockers.
I'm going to assume that chock-a-block then is not poggers, even though it kind of sounds like it. Choggers. Chock-a-block
Oh boy.
kind of means like wall-to-wall busy then. Like it's just like or very very populated. Like an area is full, like a parking lot is full. You can't park anywhere. It's chock-a-block.
That's pretty much it. Chockers is basically either really busy or really full. So your pub could be chockers. You could get a box of nuggets from McDonald's that could be absolutely chockers with all your nuggies.
I like the comment from Hizoka in chat. You speak weird words in Aussie.
But we do have that weird dialect.
I'll
Chockers.
say
I say
It does
chockers
not
all the time.
surprise me that that's in South African as well. I read some South African slang with Moon before, and it sounds like something they would definitely say.
I'll say, yeah, I also like how it's a random bill. Pretty much immediately got it with busy. So, I mean...
I'd expect a lot of these would carry over between Australia and England. Chockers is just, yeah, it's like in Australia, we just abbreviate everything. It's not service station, it's servo. So why would you say chock-a-block when you can say chockers? It's just the way that it is. We abbreviate our slang. We abbreviate the abbreviations. That's how it is. Right, this one, brolly. What is a brolly?
What? I'm sorry?
Brolly.
Brawly?
B-R-O-L-L.
Like the Dragon Ball character?
Brolly.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, that would be a legendary Super Saiyan. His father was
That's how you spell it
asparagus.
too.
So I mean, that's what Brawly is. A Brawly.
Trolley pushed by a bro. Bill, you can't answer this one. You know this.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of UK to Aussie slang that I think is going to carry over. A Brawly. Don't give me the sentence. I'll try and go first, and then Gadget can get the sentence, unless he somehow pulls this one out of his tuchus. A Brawly is... No, it's not spelled right.
Don't overthink it.
I'm not trying to overthink. I'm trying to think of something like very very simple, because you're just it's like so anyways, there we were, and the whole thing was a brawly, and it's probably not even right, but it's like it's a situation where things are comical or whimsical. That's what I've got.
Gadget, have you got a guess, fam?
How about
Bill, you can get the answer ready there.
An umbrella.
He's done well. Gadget's done very well. 10 points to Gadget. A
I may
brolly
have
is
Googled it.
an umbrella. You cheeky monkey.
You Googled it? You
Yes.
piece
How would I have
of
known that?
garbage. I don't know.
Like,
A
he's
lucky
pulled
guess.
the guess of dreams out of his butt. I was like, this man, the size of his brain.
Big
Minus
brain.
10 points to
10
Gadget,
points
so it says
Gadget.
it's a random bill.
Yeah,
Although
umbrella is a-
I do have to circle back to Moonlit's answer of a brawly is a pro skateboarder who does an ollie trick. That would
I
be
would have
a
honestly guessed
brawly.
that. I would have guessed that it was like bro or something. Like Moon, so that sounds like something.
See,
I don't really know how you get from umbrella to brolly, but it's Australia, so weirder things have happened.
it's an umbrella, and then brella to brelly, and then brelly to... Okay, I don't know how you get from brelly to brawly either, but I mean, it's...
I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone was writing down the word umbrella and the E looked like an O, so it started to get called a brawler or a brolly, maybe. I don't know, but
Yeah,
brolly,
brolly, like umbrella.
if it was raining,
Yeah.
you grab your brolly as you head out the door. Brolly. Peak Australia. This one I don't say, and I very rarely hear said, because this is like, do you guys in America, do you have stuff that is like very stereotypical slang that's not stuff that's generally used?
I'm sure we probably do.
I maybe?
Because this is something that like the stereotypical Aussie "G'day Mick Dundee" would probably say,
Okay.
but it's not something
Okay.
that's said in normal conversation. I'm going to type it because it's probably going to be confusing. This is hard yakka. What is hard yakka?
Sounds like a strong alcohol or something.
If I were to if I were to make a guess about hard yakka, I would assume that it's probably like
Overall, like it.
it's a situation where you're talking to a buddy and you're like, oh, my girlfriend was over complaining a lot, but he would say my girlfriend was over being a hard yakka. That's my guess.
Very simply, and I don't know how or why this is a thing, hard yakka is just hard work. If you were out building a fence in the sun, that would be hard yakka. If you were remodeling your back lawn, that would be hard yakka. I have no idea why.
Kinda
I
sounds
have
like
no
hard
idea how.
worker, I guess. An Australian type hard worker.
Yeah, somehow hard yakka is equal to hard work. Why would you say yakka instead of work? I don't know. I have no idea, Bill.
There will be a
There will
test
be
on
a
this,
test.
Suzuka.
Okay.
Thank you. Good, thank you. Beano knew immediately.
Is that where Shakira got whacker? I believe it. Oh boy. So that's yakka. That's something like you don't hear it said unless someone is like very obviously leaning into the stereotype of like the outback, the Russell Coit, all that sort of stuff. I've got one more, and I'm not sure if anybody will get this, but I'd like you guys to use it in a sentence if you could.
Oh, I love this already.
The word is franger.
Oh, you shared this earlier. I didn't look it up. I did not look it up. It is franga, you say?
Yep. I didn't know about this until fairly recently. Every week I go to a pub trivia night with my family, and there was a question, what is a franger? And I had no idea until
Okay.
that day.
Okay. A franga.
Gadget searching.
I'm not searching.
I'm doing this pure guess. No googling. You can see my hands. My phone's over there. My keyboard is not clicking. You would hear it. Franga. From the Latin frangella. A franga would be used as such. Last night, me and the boys went to the pub, and they asked the question, "What is a franga?"
That's big brain, right?
No. A franga. If somebody were to say a franga, they would be saying that uh, my wife came home from work, and she came in with such a franga, as in like making a ruckus.
Interesting.
I have no idea.
Not-
That's as good
not
an answer as anything else. I don't even care how close it is. A dingo who's eaten babies. Thank you,
Oh,
Moon.
goodness. Kangaroo with boxing gloves. Kangaroo Jack. I respect it. Do you have a guess, Gadget, or should I just put everyone out of their misery?
I'm gonna go with Nightwolf here. I think it sounds like a friend in a way. Like he's a really good franga. That sounds
That's
like
as good a guess
friend
as anything else.
franga.
A franga is a condom, boys and girls. That is what a franga is, a condom.
Ooh.
I wish I
I
would
was
have made
really
a
hoping
bunch.
that some sort of sentence from one of you guys.
I
My
guess Moon was the closest.
grandmother came in and handed me a franga or something. I could be like, well, I sure hope not.
I like
Why
how
would your grandma
Moon,
give you one of those?
Moon, who guessed STD, says, I was close, I said STD.
Can't argue with that. That is close.
Speaking of, and that's a very weird thing to be like, speaking of condoms, I was doing a paper route many moons ago as a lad, and I was delivering papers to this one lady, and I had to get payment for it. So I opened the door, and I'm like, hey, I need your subscription fee. And she's like, oh, okay, here it is. And she goes, would you like some rubbers? And this is like an 80-year-old woman, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm only
Why
like
not?
15 years old. She's like, would you like some rubbers? I keep them back here. And I was like,
Oh boy.
I was like, no, I think I'm good. She's like, no, I keep every rubber that you bring. And I'm like, what?
Rubber band.
Yes, she had a pile of rubber bands from every paper that I had ever delivered. So I was like, oh, yes, thank you. I will take the rubber bands, ma'am. And she gave them to me, and I left. But to have like an 80-year-old woman just look you in the eyes and go, would you like a rubber? And I'm like, no, I don't particularly want that, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Please, no thank you. See, in Australia, rubbers are like pencil erasers. So it wouldn't be irresponsible for a teacher to go up to a child and say, would you like a rubber? Because a rubber is an eraser.
You Australians, and so you just gave away one. Now, next time when we hear rubber, we'll know it's an eraser. Big B.
Beep, beep. There you have it. That's slang with Beano for the day.
I love it. That was such a good. That was a good segment. I like that segment. Not to say that your segment wasn't good, Gadget. Please understand that. I know when I say these things and I didn't say it about the other thing, now I feel like a piece of shit. All the segments
No,
are
it's
good segments.
I enjoyed it.
Conker's Bad Fur Day's 20th birthday.
Hell yeah. Happy birthday, Conkers.
Speaking of segments,
yes,
that leads us to our number 4, the
It
Q&A.
does indeed. Now, I don't know how much of this we want to have is like just a straight open forum, or if we want to kind of address it as like a Q&A involving today's topics.
I say we do both.
Okay, then go ahead right now. It's for me it's about it's like almost 9:45. I can probably at most go like another maybe half hour. But it's really up to you guys. But
That sounds fine to me.
I am pretty, unless nobody has questions, then we can go ahead and wrap it up. But yeah, we'll go ahead and just open up the floor to you guys. That's kind of the other cool thing about doing a podcast in this format is I like the podcast format in general. Because I was working on one solo before where I just kind of talked to my friends. But I like this one a little bit more because now not only like am I getting to talk with my friends, I'm getting to be more interactive with the community and get feedback from you guys and just answer random questions that you guys might have. I will gladly answer that question for you, Moon. Moonlit said, "What is the
I will too.
most embarrassing moment I ever had?" I can definitely tell that story. At least for me, this was probably the most embarrassing. It's probably not even really that bad. Um, but you have to put your shoes, your feet into the shoes of like a 16-year-old Adam who was not in the world's greatest emotional spot. So we went on a youth group um, canoeing trip on a river nearby, and we had a couple of boats, and I got to be in a boat with a girl that I had a really big crush on, and I planned it that way, baby. And so we're in this boat, and we're all paddling, and we're all having a good time. Then all of a sudden, we reach a point on the river that was a bit shallower, so we were all trying to get the boats over towards the center of the river. And I'm in this boat with my mom, who was like chaperoning, and my uncle, and then me and the girl. And so we're going along, and they're telling me like, "Oh, we have to row this way," and I'm just like not rowing correctly at all. I'm not helping the situation, and I get it to where instead of going straight, the canoe is now sideways, and so I'm already looking like an idiot, not knowing how to do this in front of this girl.
Boy.
We now wreck this canoe into a rock, and the rock just goes straight through the canoe, completely just punctures a giant ass hole in it. And I just was like, cool, now I've broken somebody's boat and embarrassed myself. Then, because we're all trying to like compensate, I'm the one who tips the boat over, and all of us fall into the water. It is a long string of events of me just doing one awful thing in front of the other. And then, because I preface this story with younger Adam was not in a very good emotional state, I began to openly cry.
Oh, my.
Oh no.
Baby, oh baby.
That's bad.
That was such an awful, awful. I have no issues sharing that story. I mean, y'all could have been like, "Will you please tell us the Golden Corral story again?" But it's like I feel like that one is a story I have never told, and possibly one of the most embarrassing moments in my life, because it was like, well, now I have not that I had much of a chance then, anyways, but I've pretty much sealed the deal on that one, baby.
I'll give you not one, but two.
Oh, here we
Just
go.
because what your story kind of reminded me of one that I had, actually. Just, that's not my most embarrassing, but I have something kind of like that. So, probably 13 or 14, summer camp. Yeah. We, a buddy and me, we like to just mess around, and we took the canoe and we screwed around. We were supposed to be at like this big meeting with everybody and whatnot, with all the other people there, all the other kids and whatnot. And but we decided, hey, you know what? We're gonna go canoe. We messed around in there. We like tilted the boat and whatnot. We sunk the boat, and we had to pull it back into the land and whatnot. And we completely soaked. Went back into the like probably like a half hour later. Went to the thing that we were supposed to be, all just soaked and whatnot. Everybody was so upset at us. But that's not my most embarrassing.
I do love the fact though that we both have canoe stories though.
Everybody out here
Yeah, that's
capitalizing.
why I decided to talk about that one. My most embarrassing would have been, I went to the mall, went to a store, I was probably like 13 as well, about that time, getting some clothes for school or whatever, for like summer vacation. And they had like the mirror or the clear glass, so you could see through. There was some shirts on the ground or something. And I must have tripped, and I hit the glass with my head. Like I fell right into it. Everybody was looking at me. Did you ever see Tommy Boy?
Yes.
Taka. It was kind of like that moment. Yeah, just like that. Everybody was just staring at me, laughing and whatnot, thinking I just walked into the glass myself. Ended up having like a minor concussion because of it.
God,
But yeah,
heck.
God, I can never forget about that one. It was just so embarrassing. I think some people were laughing. Yeah.
Well, we're laughing now, unfortunately, but it also explains a lot, like why you are the way you are now. So.
Oh yeah.
Throwing shade. Well, I've got a story. I don't know if it's the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me, but it was the first thing that popped into my head when the question was thrown up. In high school, I had an English class, and we were analyzing Peter Pan, and we had to write like an article or something and then share it with the class. And I was trying to talk about the crocodiles in Peter Pan that swallowed the clocks and then ticked as they were walking behind Captain Hook, right? And in front of a room full of 16-year-olds, me standing up the front with my bit of paper like this, the sentence I wanted to say was, the same crocodiles also swallowed a clock.
Oh no, I see where this is going.
Yeah, those crocodiles sure did swallow a cock. Oh, it was bad. In front of a room full of 16-year-olds, and the teacher just said, "You can sit down now." Oh my God, no. And people came up to me afterwards and they were like, "Oh my God, that was on purpose, right?" And I was like, "Why would that be on purpose?" Oh, I could have died.
Yes, I want to stand in front of all of my. Getting a pop from the rest of your classmates. Okay, I can get that. But the fact that you want to go in front of your teacher and go like, "The crocodile swallowed the cock." Go sit
Don't
down.
forget the
Understood.
wink at the end, the cock in front of a teacher. Oh, it was so bad. Because it was like 16-year-olds, all immature, stupid people. And these crocodiles were swallowing cocks, and I was like, this is a rock bottom.
Yeah,
Right?
they often eat roosters. What's the problem with that? I don't understand.
That was rough.
So I'm gonna swing back to, it's a question that Bill has now asked twice. So thank you for saving your question and bringing it back again at the end. It's a random Bill asks, what game or game series would you love to play from the very beginning, knowing literally nothing about it whatsoever? So basically, what is a game that you wish you could go back into blind? I
One of those Men in Black mind wipey things.
Hell
You
yeah.
could just wipe the game. What would it be?
For me, I feel like that's a pretty easy answer. And I think for all three of us, it'll probably be like insert favorite game here, or insert most influential game here. But for me, I think it would be Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo. That game, it ranks as, for me, one of the, if not like the best, like role playing game ever made. Like I just absolutely love that game. It's got the character designs by Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball Z fame. It's got time travel. It's got all sorts of different characters, and it's not just like you get a character here or there. You like go and you get characters from like the dinosaur age, and from medieval times, and from the future, and from current time, and it's so fun to have this like party of all these different people. And what really blew my mind at the time was the fact that this game has like 12 or 13 endings or something like that, if memory serves. And it's just like, I had never played anything like that in my entire life. So to be able to go back and just like erase like my memory of it and just go into it fresh, being like, what is this character with Goku's sword on the front? Like, who is this person? Like, I need to know what's going on in this game, because there just was, I never played anything like that. Now, granted, if I had played Final Fantasy 3/6 before that, it might be the other way around. But the fact of the matter is, for me, it was Chrono Trigger, and it's just, I would love to be able to go back and experience that again. And it's just it. I love that game, so I wish I could experience that game with brand new eyes one more time.
All right. Well, I could go for Dark. I could go Bloodborne, or I could go Castlevania, just because of how satisfactory and how of a rush I felt after beating certain bosses and whatnot. But I'm going to go with Deadly Premonition,
Okay.
just because I love that story so much and how odd and crazy things get. I'm like a big Twin Peaks fan, and that game's pretty much Twin Peaks the game, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, you do not know what's going to happen next with that game. It's so funny, just so much unintentional humor,
Boop,
with
boop,
just like
boop,
going
boop,
into
boop, boop.
the yes,
Boop,
I was
boop,
about
boop.
to say,
Boop,
going
boop, boop.
just just walking like all the way to the bridge, and then meeting like the deputy and the his or the sheriff and the deputies, and then going into the hotel to meet the the going to the big table with the deaf lady, who cannot hear you, and then the whistling music goes off. It's just so much charm like that just, I love it so much. And I wish I could go back and experience and just laugh at all the craziness of what is that game.
I personally would probably say either Dark Souls, just because the experience was so good. Like the whole Dark Souls thing was just unreal. Everything about it was so much fun. But I'd probably pick Rocket League. Actually, I mean, as far as I've come with my Rocket League ability, that is still shit. I got it when it was free in PS Plus when it first came out, and those first couple of weeks where you just can't even hit the ball and you have no idea what's going on. I laughed that hard that I cried and couldn't breathe every time that I played it. It was Rocket League. Early Rocket League is like the most fun that I've ever had in a game. So if I could go back and do that again in a heartbeat, I'd be there.
See, there were a couple other games that popped in my head. I was think that like that all both of those choices are fantastic, because it's all like a different sort of thing that was like, for you, like it was that story based game, and with all of its like peculiar things, and like wanting to like see those things again for the first time because they're just so out there. And mine is like literally just wanting to relive a childhood game so I could have those childlike eyes. And then Beano's is like, I want to feel that way that I played, the first time I played this game. And that's why, for me, like one of the other ones popped in my head was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Like, I wish I could experience that game again, differently, just now, because it gave me that love of the Metroidvanias. But like Dead by Daylight was almost, it was on the tip of my tongue, because the game has grown so much and changed so much since I first played it. But if I could go back to when I first played it, like me, and my buddy, like Jesse and Cody and Mike, like we played that pretty regularly. And that's back when the game like actually scared us. It was back when like we would literally were like afraid of the killer coming out of nowhere. Like we actually got jump scares out of the game. Now it's just like, okay, killer's overhead. Oh, I'm working on this generator. Can you come over and heal? All right, got the like. It's such a different experience now, because like all I ever did was see it on YouTube and stuff, and it was like, oh, this looks like so much fun to play with your friends, and then actually playing it was like, this is terrifying. I hate this. Like, so like to be able to go back and experience that, like that's why I liked Beano's, which was like, I wish I could experience the fun of Rocket League for the first time again. And it would kind of be the same thing for me with like Dead by Daylight. Like I would love to be able to have that same experience of like, oh, this is spooky. I hate this.
I'd like to add as well, if I can add another game into one that I'd like to do, is Outer Wilds. That game absolutely blew my butthole
Oh,
64 Galaxies West. If anybody hasn't played Outer Wilds, if you're on the fence, please go and do it. It is so good. And that was also the first game that I streamed, so that's got a very dear place in my heart. But now that I've finished it, I don't know if I could go back and do it again.
I was gonna
So
say that was the first game I
again.
remember seeing you stream that I
That was
watched.
Outer Wilds, that's the one. That was the first game that I streamed as part of my project, and it was like the first series that I did.
Well,
Outer Wilds.
it is still. I knew what you meant. For some reason, I also want to call it Outer Wilds, but yes, it is the Outer Worlds, and it is a game that I always think about checking out because it gives me like Fallout vibes, but I can never quite
Well, back
finish
to this.
Fallout
game.
games.
Outer Worlds is the Fallout one. Outer Wilds is the one that I'm.
Oh, okay.
There
Then
seems to be a meme
always
of
get those mixed up.
Beano and I.
then that one I do not know.
I would keep saying, "Oh, Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds." Everybody would say the same thing.
So Outer Wilds is
Oh.
When it was
a
playing.
exploration game where you're stuck in a time loop like Groundhog Day. Every 22 minutes, the sun explodes and you die and you reset back on your home planet. And you have to try and piece together the story of this little solar system.
Oh,
22
okay.
minutes. So there's Outer Worlds, WORL,
Yes.
Outer Worlds, which is the Fallout, Bethesda shooty one. There's Outer Wilds, which is this explorer one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was
It is
my bad.
absolutely
It's on Game Pass,
I don't know if it's
or is it still on there?
The
Definitely
Outer
not.
Worlds is on. I
Outer
mean, it
Worlds.
might be on. Because I just typed Outer. Let me double check. All that was popping up was Outer Worlds. Now, granted, this is on PC, so I mean, it could be available on perhaps like the Xbox Game Pass. But on freaking PC, Outer Worlds, and then the next result is Astroneer, and then it ends. So
Yeah.
Well, I believe that was one of the games that Beano played on originally on Game Pass when he got Game Pass was Outer Wilds. So
No, I had it on Steam.
did
So
you?
I didn't get Game Pass until well down the track when we were starting to play Dead by Daylight.
Mm.
But yeah, I can very, very highly recommend Outer Wilds for anybody that wants a relatively relaxing space exploring game that you need an enormous brain for. Outer Wilds, baby.
I'm trying to see. I don't think I missed any other
questions?
About to say the one that I saw was that one from It's a Random Bill. I don't think I'm looking through. I don't see any other random questions that have popped up yet. And I'll preface this with, we'll take, as many questions as we can, of course, but please, no one in the audience necessarily feel pressured that you have to ask anything. It's just cool if you do. So we got a question. Nightwolf says, if you were to make a game, what genre and what would you do differently compared to most games in that genre? That's a very deep, like, two-part kind of question. I mean, I feel like I want to sit here and say I feel like every type of game has been made, but then like you've had random ass games like Typing of the Dead, which is an on-rail shooter with typing, or you've got Crypt of the Necrodancer, which is like a rhythm-based dungeon crawler. Like the combination of games now are so insane that I guess for me, if I had to make something, I think I would like to make something in the Dynasty, like Warriors. Like, I don't really know what genre that would fall under, but like the Warriors system. But I would actually want to give that game depth, because I feel like every Dynasty Warriors game and every Dynasty Warriors like clone type of game is all kind of the same thing. It's just you go around, you collect characters, you beat up a whole bunch of people on screen, and then you move on. And I enjoy that because like I've played the One Piece Pirate Warriors game, and I enjoy that. The Dragon Quest Heroes is basically that. Like, and it's fun, and Dragon Quest kind of hits on beats a little bit better, but it still just kind of has that. It's I don't really like the characters a lot in it, so it wasn't really hitting for me. I think the game I probably got the most into was uh, Dynasty Warriors Mobile Suit Gundam, the third one for the
Oh, that's
360.
where I first one I played.
It's really really good. I love the fact that you just constantly go around collecting new pilots, collecting new suits, all these accessories, customization. I like that, but it kind of felt like even at the end of the day, no matter how much you tricked out your suit or put a pilot in it, it never really felt different. It still kind of felt samey, no matter how much you went across the board. So I feel like I wish I could take the Dynasty, if you want to call it a beat 'em up, then I would say the beat 'em up genre, but like specifically the Dynasty Warriors format, and add a better story, because it always just feels like beat up people, go here, beat up this person, go here, beat up this person, end a level. Like I would want a little more of a cohesive story, and give me more character customization, so I actually feel like my character is doing something. Like a lot of times you'll have various combos which kind of makes it feel like, okay, my character is customized, but 9 times out of 10 those combos are specifically there to counter an enemy, not necessarily to make your character different. So it's like if your character has a launching attack, it's because it's to get past the block. If your character has a falling attack, like jumping and coming down, it's to get past a character with a shield, something of that nature. It's not actually like customizing your character. So like if you could somehow mash together the world of like a traditional JRPG with the gameplay of a Dynasty Warriors thing, I would absolutely love that, because it's I love that grand scale of battle. Like nothing makes you feel like more of a badass than when you are fighting off, like 50 guys are on top of you and then you kill them. That's why I found like the Gundam game so good, because I finally felt like I was experiencing in a game the Gundam fights where you're just like tearing through the generic Gundams, and then you have the big fight with an actual pilot at the end. But it still all kind of just felt samey, because no matter what boss you fought, they were just they had too much health, or they were just too powerful, and it never really felt like you were doing much different than any other boss fight before it. So for me, like I would love to see make a game that is just like a breath of fresh air in the Dynasty series. Just make it more than just getting a 1000 kill combo.
Okay, I think I have one. I would love a survival horror or stealth type of game, but have the roles reversed where you are the serial killer or the killer person. Think of like maybe Manhunt,
That's the first thing that popped in
where
my head, to be
the
honest.
stealth. Yes, I would love to see like a Manhunt type of game where you got to stealth around, get the correct, how you get the finisher or fatality of the killer, and just see their point of view instead of just the traditional type of, oh, I'm a survivor, I gotta hide around a bucket or find this type of thing. Why not do the different roles? Be the killer for once. I think that would be a cool game that has not been made.
See, I'm just looking at it from, because I agree with you 100%. I think something like that could be very interesting. I feel like we have gotten kind of like similar games. Because, like I said, first thing that popped in my head was Manhunt. But I kind of look at like that whole like being the bad guy type of thing. Like, you've got, what is it? It's a stupid party game, and I can't think of Party Hard or something like that, where like you just have to kill
Mm-hmm.
everybody on each stage without getting caught. Um, but I feel like something like that, as great as the idea is to me, like I definitely would have an interest in it. I think it would probably fall into that same realm of nobody's going to let this game be made or escape, because I feel like a game like that would have the manhunt stigma on it, or the hatred stigma on it, because it's just like it's such a no matter how much you try and say like this is pretend, this is a video game, this is not real, like you're playing, you know, a freaking Michael Myers. I think that would probably be about the only way you could get away with it, because I think if you just play,
Yeah, I was actually thinking of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like
yeah,
in my head, like
like
being Leatherface or something.
about to say, because if you just try and do like this is Joe the Stalker and he goes around killing people, then it's probably going to get on that banned game list, like rape play and stuff like that, where people are just going to be like, we're not gonna say it's okay to play the serial killer simulator. Like, but at the same time, I like that idea because it is so different. It's taking the stealth genre and doing something different with it. I just feel like you would have to make it into like a horror themed thing, and I don't think anybody would care at that point, because if you turn it into like you're the freaking creature from the Black Lagoon and you're supposed to go and get people, or like I said, Michael Myers, honestly, like I think that would be a perfect fit for that, an actual Halloween game where you have to go around and stalk and find the people and kill them and not get caught.
Yeah.
Like I think that would be great. Like even a cross with like I forget what it's called. It has a couple of different names. Fahrenheit, something Fahrenheit. It's one of
Fahrenheit 9/11 or Indigo Prophecy.
Indigo Prophecy. Thank you. Kind of like Indigo Prophecy, where like you could have almost like that story based, like there's the mission where you have to like clean up all the blood before the police show up, or you have to escape from the diner before they like having
That was
that
so good.
crossed with that sort of like serial killer thing. I think that'd be really cool. I am 100% for something like that, because it would be yes, Valorant says serial killer game, so Yandere Simulator. Yes, that's what I said. Unfortunately, that type of game, I think, as soon as it would come out, people would be like, "Adults only. You can't do that. Can't show that to the kiddies." Well, that's why it's rated mature. It's not for the kiddies. It's for adults. It's for them to be like, "Oh shit, I'm Dexter," or like some crazy shit like that. Like I think that there is a viable market for a game coming from that crazy aspect. So I honestly I think that's a great idea. It is very refreshing to see role reversal type of games like that, because you just don't see it very often.
Yeah. So, Beano?
One I would like to see, and it's not game breaking, it's not revolutionary, it's just something that I would like to see because I'm a fan of it. I grew up on Supernatural, right? That's like Supernatural is the TV show that I compare all other TV shows to, right? So what I would like to see is either some sort of open world hunting thing, like I think of The Witcher 3, where you have a village where bad shit's happening to you. You go and you talk to the people that are affected, you figure out what it could be, the weaknesses, you get your gear together and you go and fight it, that sort of thing, right? But some sort of open world hunting type deal. Either that or something in the style of the Telltale game, some sort of story focused thing. If only Telltale weren't bankrupt scumbags that didn't pay their employees. But that's a different story. But that's not, it's not revolutionary. It's not something that's going to take the market by storm. It probably wouldn't do very good because it's so specific. But that's just something that I would like to see because I'm such a fan of that.
No, I think that's just as viable as anything else. I also like how you took like a completely different approach to the thought. So I think that's actually really cool, because it wasn't really just like, you know, what do you want to do and how would you do it. But I think that would be I'm not necessarily a huge Supernatural fan myself, but I definitely see Supernatural as a property like that goes hand in hand. Like I think either an adventure style game, and by adventure game I mean like the old point and click. I think that could be kind of fun, because you have to go around and solve, you know, get the clues and things of that nature. I think that could be a very interesting twist on a Supernatural game. I think a beat 'em up probably would be something like very like down the middle, kind of boring, but it still would be kind of cool to have a collection of characters that you just go around, and as you beat each stage, like you unlock, you know, Lucifer or all of the characters' names are escaping me at the moment because I'm a piece of shit and I can't remember. Castiel. That is the one I was specifically looking for, was Castiel. But like to actually go through and have a game where you're running through and beating people up and taking some creative liberties to make it a video game, of course, but reenacting scenes like maybe rescuing Sam or Dean from hell, or stopping the Leviathan, or you could have hell even a freaking Dark Souls supernatural. Like, I mean, just that's something that could be just absolutely insane. Like, and have each game kind of like tackle a couple of seasons, and then when you start getting towards the end, like maybe one of the big bad guys becomes Dean because he has the mark of Cain. So like now there's a whole switch on the series, and Sam has to go out and try and handle that. And I think that's very much an interesting property that really hasn't gone outside of the medium of like books and film.
No, well, there is one thing that intrigues me greatly, and that's the tabletop RPG game.
Okay.
And I think it would be really cool because you could set it up like a monster of the week type deal. And every session, you get wind of a new job, you come in, you interview people, you figure out what it could be, you gather your clues, whatever. And each session you do like a different hunt with like a recurring big bad guy that pops up every so often to keep the story moving. So that's something that I think has the potential to either be cool or just be trash.
Oh,
but other than that, and then like the anime and the shows and the books, is not like they just aren't. There just isn't anything other than that.
Yeah, it's nice to have, like Nightwolf said, maybe a GTA style supernatural, like an open world, move around, solve things type of thing. But it's nice to have some sort of interactive nature with a property you really like. I mean, imagine if we're going back to Mario. Imagine if Mario was only a cartoon. It's like, oh, I want to play a game as this guy. Like, he seems like he's going to jump and do the things. Like, I wish this was a video game. And it circles back to the whole thing of like, Supernatural is such a good, like, I think survival horror would probably be, the end of the day, the best home for it, like a Resident Evil style or Evil Within style type of game. But the fact that they've never like tackled it, it is kind of like befuddling to an extent. I think probably the most interactive you can get is if you bought any of the like supernatural figures. I'm sure there are supernatural action figures somewhere, so you could be like, Sam, we gotta go.
That's literally just the entire show summed up right there. Just Sam, we've got to go.
I thought it was accurate, and I thought that was a pretty good Dean, if you ask me.
Not bad.
Sam, I'm gonna go try and bang Daphne.
Now that you brought up like TV show episodic type of ideas, I'm thinking of another thing I would really love is like a Star Trek, like space and like Mass Effect as well, where you go to different planets, different stories of different, like a real type of Star Trek game with like good space combat and good on land stuff as well with a story. I think that would be so good. I would love something like that.
I feel
so
like
not the third person shooter that apparently was garbage that they made.
No.
Well, I feel like Star Trek keeps getting like the short end of the stick, and I'm not gonna say like, because a lot of people are like, you're either Star Trek or you're Star Wars, but I like both for their own respective things. But I feel like
I'm more of a Trek guy, but both are good.
I feel like Star Wars has gotten the much better end of the stick when it comes to games, even if the games don't necessarily appeal to me. I think it's easier for something like Star Wars to have a much broader and range of things because, and like I said, I am a Star Trek fan. I've watched the movies, I enjoy them, but a lot of times Star Trek is very, even though there's action in it, action scenes are usually pretty limited. There's a lot of standoffs in space. It's not necessarily a ton of like, epic space battles. I feel like a lot of the epic space battles are usually kind of like limited to a handful of episodes. So like it's much easier for somebody to go like here's Star Wars Pilots or whatever the hell the game that just came out is, so where you're dogfighting. Like, there's really nothing exactly, to the best of my knowledge, exactly like that in Star Trek. It's much more naval based as opposed to like, I don't know, like aerial based. As weird as that sounds, but I 100% agree with you because it feels like every single time we get a Star Trek game, it's too gimmicky. It's like they're like the last thing we got, and I want to play it because it looks like a ton of fun. Like you have the Star Trek Bridge Commander game where everybody
the
has a
VR,
different
yeah.
role, and that's really cool. But if you don't have VR, like you're gonna miss out on a good
can't
chunk
do
of it. Like you're not gonna do it. But then you have like Star Trek Online, and I don't care how much you try and be like it's an online game. It's only gonna appeal to people who like MMOs. Like it's just, I tried playing Star Wars online. I could not get into it, and I'm like I said, big Star Wars fan, but I could not get into it. And I think there needs to be some sort of, hell, even call it like Star Trek away team, and it's like you don't even necessarily play as like, maybe you get, if you want to do like a next generation, maybe you get like, Worf is on the team with you. I'm not saying make it like Battlefront because that will never work with Star Wars, but you could have it as the away team is you're the people who go down to the planet, and each mission can be a little bit different where you can like solve a mystery of why this is going on, or the Federation has sent you there to work out a peace treaty, but it's like a full-blown war and you have to choose which side, and that can have maybe some ramifications down the line. So like you were saying, like the Mass Effect type of thing, I think that would be really cool. That probably would work in that style, because I feel like otherwise all we get from Star Trek is like like RTSs, ship combats, things like that. Devour says no sides, prime directive. But that's the thing, though. It's like you still have to put the morality of the character. Like they know what they should do, but now they're in a situation where they're like, well, we were called for these people, but these people are clearly doing this thing to these people. So what do we do? So it gives you the moral options, like in a Mass Effect type game. If you want to, you can do nothing and let them blow each other up and be like, sorry, prime directive. Weep. But I mean, it's a whole thing, and I think I like that idea because Star Trek, I don't think Star Trek gets the respect it deserves in the video game universe, unless, like I said, you're a huge RTS or piloting simulator person.
The only good Star Trek game I can honestly think of right now is the NES one, which was a point and click for DOS as well. Did you ever play that one? That's like based on the original series. It has like basic original series episodes, some of them on it, like the episode where they go back into the past of like World War II ish times, and it's a really good game, but it's not. It was only as good as it could have been at the time.
No, I played the Next Generation game, and unless you have like the instruction manual, it's a bit of a shit show even trying to figure out what you're supposed to do. I played the Deep Space Nine game, and it's just so poorly designed that there's areas that you can go to, but the game does not make it very clear that you can go in and out of these different areas. And I feel like there was one other. I think I played like another. Like I think it was Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and it was the same thing. If you don't have the instruction book, it's not even playable because you don't know what the hell you're doing. And that's why I said, unfortunately, those games, I mean, I guess they were made the best they could at those times, but I don't really feel like Star Trek games have really evolved from that point. They've still all kind of fell in that exact same simulator and RTS. None of them have really branched out into actual action or story-based games.
Yeah. That's why I brought up Mass Effect, because I think that's really the closest we've gotten to an actual like a next generation type of Star Trek game.
Yeah. Beano, you were going to say
But
something?
yeah, that's that
Oh,
question,
I
I
was just saying,
guess.
I'd love a Star Trek game. I'm a Trekkie. I would be on it like that.
Oh,
Me
And
too.
I think
God,
Mass
that'd be so
Effect is
good.
the way that you would need to take it. I think that sort of story with action, but not just action. I think that's the way you'd have to do it. Well, that's the way that I would probably do it if I had the choice.
okay, cool. Well, I think Gadget was probably about to say the same thing I'm going to say. Pretty good wrap up spot there
Yes.
before we get to.
I have one question for all of us, though. I
Yes.
think this is a good way to end it on.
Okay.
What would you guys like this podcast? How do you guys see this going, and what would you like it to become?
I'll go first on that. I would, and I've kind of even talked with Beano about this. Like, I'm going to give people like some real behind the scene info about this because I already was talking to Beano about this. Where like we want to host it on my channel one week, and then like maybe host it on Beano's channel one week. And something that I discussed with him was like, if this starts taking off and people are coming regularly to watch the podcast. I already said like, hey, can I upload these podcasts to Taco Talks, my old podcast? And you guys are like, yeah, sure, whatever. But now I'm thinking like I might actually just make a new podcast account and just call it Three Beans in a Pod. But going forward, if we really do enjoy this, do we want to start another channel? Because it's one of those things where the three of us would be working on it, but like if we were watching right now, and how dare some of you, by the way, I got no subs or follows during this podcast, okay? How dare all of you? But the fact of the matter is, if for some reason a bunch of people came in today and they're watching the podcast and they start subscribing and following me, like I'm of course going to do my best to try and direct them to you guys as well. Like everybody who's here, please, follow Gadget and follow Beano. They're wonderful content creators, wonderful guys. But that is something that could happen down the line. Like I would love to see, even if like we kind of, and I don't want to say stagnate on streaming. Like I don't think we will. I think we're great. I think we're all going to keep moving forward. But if we really want to keep going with this podcast thing, I think we really do need to think about like having a YouTube channel just for it, having specifically offline, audio formats of the channel, and like I said, maybe going forward, depending on how well it does, giving the Three Beans in a Pod its own Twitch channel, and
I would love to see that actually, its own Twitch channel at some point if we get to that level. That'd be so cool.
because it's something that I don't want it to be, just on my channel and just on Beano's channel. I think it would be really cool because Twitch has the feature of like who can stream to this channel. So if we make the Three Beans in a Pod, then of course, if this show really kicks off, like I would like to do it more than once a month. Everybody today
too.
seems to be having a really good time, and I appreciate everybody who's been hanging out and asking all the questions and interacting with all this stuff. Really, this has gone really super well for the first interactive like podcast I've ever done. So I think it's really, really great. But I would love for us to have that other channel where, of course we streamed our own channels, but it would be cool to still have a channel that the three of us could at any point go and stream there under Three Beans in a Pod. Maybe we could even have episodes where it's not even necessarily, all three of us. Maybe all three of us aren't available. Then it could be like, Three Beans in a Pod. Today is going to be Adam and it's a random bill, or, it's just going to be Adam and Beano.
Yes.
Something of that nature. And I don't necessarily want to put the pressure on, like, okay, this week it's on my channel, next week it's on Beano's channel, next week it's on my, just something like that. That's kind of how I'm looking at it, because I don't want to say I'm looking at it from the business perspective and I want to make money and give me my money. But it's one of those things where it's like, if it does start bringing in revenue, like if for some reason we had some new person that came in tonight and followed and subbed because they're like, oh, I love this is great. Like, to some extent I would be like, okay, but this isn't just my content. Like, this is, Beano's content. This is Gadget's content. I would really want that. Oh, well, it was Gadget's content. It's now Beano's and I's. We own this content now. So Gadget is straight out. Welcome to Two Beans in a Pod. What in the world is happening? And we're
I'm back.
baby.
I think.
No, you're back.
Oh,
You are back.
Hold it. Yeah. Okay.
But no, that's kind of how I'm literally looking at it, because the three of us are affiliates. The three of us want to keep growing, and this is yet another way for us to bring in more audience. And I think if we really do want to go down the line with this sort of thing, because this is very different than like multi-stream, Saturday or Friday, where everybody just kind of goes to where they want to go and hang out. That's different, that's kind of do. But this is specifically hosting a show on one channel. Ultimately what I would like to do is I would like us to reach a point where we could try to find a way to do it on a like tri-weekly, or try and squeeze in 2 a month, something of that nature. I know it's going to be tough, but I'm okay with like starting at 1 a month until we get our feet wet. It's just I know if we're only doing it once a month, we can try and make it always seem like a special event, but it's going to be hard to get that traction when it's only once a month and only once a month sometime. You know what I mean? That's my opinion on the podcast. That's what I want to do as far as going forward with it.
You said that you said looking at it from a business perspective. I'm glad that somebody is, because I'm looking at it the complete opposite way. My thought process is going to, if we're having fun, which I think I speak for us all when I say that we are, and if people in chat are having fun, which they seem to be, then I'm just along for the ride. Wherever it goes, I'm not fussed as long as everybody is still having fun and just vibing. That's good for me.
See, and that's that's why I wanted to I'm not trying to be like, yes, this is going to be part of Taco Enterprises going forward, and I want to get money out of this. I just want to make sure that I want to do this podcast regardless, whether we all make $100 or 100 cents. It doesn't really make a difference to me, because this is another opportunity for me to hang out with you guys and like you said, shoot the shit, talk, because we have gone off the rails I don't know how many times tonight, but it's been a blast doing it, and I just absolutely love doing it. So that's why I said, for me, like you said, what is going forward, I'm just looking at it from the perspective of, if we do well and if we continue to grow and if we do it thing, I want to make sure that we have a way to go forward.
Yeah. It's good to have like both sides of this, like you said, think business as well, because if it gets to that level, we'll have to breach. I mean, it's good to think about it beforehand, And like you said, I would love to see this continue. I want it to continue. I'd love to see us do more than just 1 a month. It's just it's tough right now with the scheduling. That was like the toughest part for us to get this thing going right now. So we have to figure that out, because like we all have different times. Like Beano is a day ahead of us, and it's early morning where it's late for us. And you work irregular hours as well, Taco, so
yeah,
that's why we only decide to do it once a month right now. It's just like the scheduling is kind of tough, but I'm sure if people really like it enough, I'm sure we could figure out a way and make it work more than just once a month.
Yeah.
I'm definitely keen for that. If we get to the point, I'd definitely love to do this as frequent as is feasible. Daily, 3 beans in a pot?
Daily, good God, no. I don't have that much to talk about.
No.
I barely feel like I have enough to talk about on stream sometimes. Did I tell you about the time I pooped myself after Golden Corral? You ready for that old chestnut again? But no, Bill just said, if I can stop by every single one of these, I would love to. This was fun. And goes to Shelly, this might be cutthroaty, but at the end of the day, we're all in it for ourselves. But that be the facts. I mean, it is to an extent. It's everybody is kind of here, and they all have to be successful in their own way, shape, or form, because that is kind of the nature of the beast of Twitch. But I think we're trying to go about it the best way to make it work for everybody, and that's why I was coming at it from the business perspective of, if it pops off, if this literally pops off, I don't want it to be like only Beano is getting revenue or only I am getting revenue. Like, I like the idea of already bouncing back and forth, because then we're going to get a little more viewers on Beano, so get a few more eyes over there. Same thing here. And I'm always cool for growth. But, I mean, the other thing that I would love to see with the podcast is not just, us, of course. Like, I would love to do, guest appearances, talk to
Yes,
people.
I was going to bring that up too.
Like, I would love... Bill is one of the first people I would love to have on, but that's me personally. I would love to have Bill on. Moon
Me
is
with
up
Moon,
there.
I would
Yep.
love to see Moon.
About to say
That's
Moon is up there. Dork Chop is up there. Leyenda's up there.
Yes.
These are all people I would love to have on, because they're not people. I feel like of everybody here, like as far as guests, I feel like Bill is probably the most known to me, probably followed by Moon. But like, I would love to get more in depth in people like Dork Chop and Leyenda and maybe
Yeah.
Audio, whoever wants to come on. Like, I would love to have on people and just either talk about a topic they want to talk about, and I would also love to get, like, anytime we have a guest on, and this is up to them if they actually want to talk about it, but I would love to talk to them about their streaming journey, because that
and
is
how they
something
started.
that's,
I'd love
yeah,
that too.
it's just, to me, it's always such an interesting story, because you never know where people start with something and go forward with it, because all of us had that moment where it was like, am I done? But we took that one more step, and then it blossomed into something. So I think it would be very interesting to have 4 beans in a pod on a 3 beans in a pod podcast. So I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say at this point. If you guys have anything you want to plug or put forward at this point, please, feel free to share socials and all that kind of stuff.
Let's say what our streaming schedule is going to be. I guess that's, if you want to, Beano, you go ahead.
I
plug.
stream 3 times a week. Twitch.tv/Beano Supremo _. Dark Souls 3 on Tuesdays. This is Australian time because I'm in the future. Dark Souls 3 on Tuesdays. Alan Wake on Thursdays for the foreseeable future. That's the pairing, and then multi-stream Saturdays with these guys or whoever else is welcome doing Dead by Daylight. I still want to try and organise Sea of Thieves with you guys, because I reckon that would be an absolute hoot.
Yeah.
But that's it. Beano Supremo _ Twitch, Twitter. Come and abuse me if that's what you're into. I don't know. You guys do you, but that's where you can find me.
Yeah, I'm not really on the socials that much. I do have the Twitter, but I'm not really on it too much. But I stream Tuesdays and Fridays as well. I would love to try and get another day in there, but I have a son and a wife. It's hard to make the right time. But I would love to have another day. I'm thinking I'm gonna go each back and forth between Bloodborne, and I would love to start Mass Effect. That's another game I would love to do. Yeah, and just like Beano said, multi-stream Fridays. We play a lot of Dead by Daylight, and we are going to branch out as well. We played World War Z as well.
I would love to get into another play of World War Z.
Yeah, we can definitely do that again. Yeah. Just anything cross-play that we can make happen, we're going to make it happen. Everybody is welcome to join on our multi-stream Fridays. Like last Friday, we had Ranger Noodle. Give her a shout out, and we had Audio Blood as well. The stream before, and we've had Moon. Everybody is more than welcome to join in on the multi-stream Friday or Saturday.
The more the merrier, baby.
So I'll just plug my stuff real quick. I'm on pretty much every social out there: TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, you name it. All you have to do is look for Dr. Taco 1982, and I am there. I also linked in the chat, the Discord for the Taco Town, if you people want to hang out there. Seriously, go to onlyfans.com /Dr. Taco 1982. No joke.
Do we want
right now.
to eventually add people to our podcast Discord as well?
We certainly could. I'm keen with keeping it us right now, just because it's where we work.
Yeah,
But it's
we can have
definitely
like private channels for just us as well when
Yeah.
we get to that point.
we can definitely open that up. As far as a streaming schedule for yours truly, it fluctuates every week, but I am making a more valiant effort in actually listing my schedule on Twitch. So if you hit the schedule tab, you will see when I am going to be streaming for the week. If anything changes, I'm usually putting it in Twitter or Instagram if there's any sorts of changes like that. I'm also trying to get better at announcing when I'm going live on Twitter and Instagram. So that's kind of the thing going on. Probably the biggest thing for me going on is on the March 10th, Wednesday, March 10th at 11 a.m. We will be doing Mario Day here at the Dr. Taco channel. We will be playing Mario games for X amount of time. I don't know how long, but stuff on the agenda is definitely going to be like Mario 35. We're going to be starting a playthrough of Mario Odyssey. I'm going to see if I can maybe wrap up Paper Mario, Origami King. I'm going to see maybe if my wife wants to play some Mario Party or Mario Kart. So it's going to be an all-day Mario affair. I think that's pretty much all I have. Definitely, like I said, follow us on our various socials, or like I said, hang out in the Discord, because the Discord also notifies whenever I go live specifically. So if Three Beans in a Pod is on my channel, you'll know when it's going live. I'm go ahead and say thank you to everybody. I think
thank you so much, guys.
this has been really super duper successful. I'm not really one to stare at my view count when I've been streaming, but I've actually been really happy seeing, double digit numbers the whole time we've been streaming. It's
That's awesome.
really been awesome. So I really appreciate that everybody here has wanted to just listen to three guys just bullshit all night or morning, depending on where you're living. But no, thank you so much for listening to our opinions. I'm going to go ahead and raid out. And from what I can see, Dork Chop, the man of the hour whom we are talking about, is still going with the UFC fight. So we are going to raid out to Dork Chop so you can see the man in action. Ghost in the Shelly, I've been waiting on the stripping to start. That's at the Three Beans in a Pod only. Beano, please don't do it. That's for my eyes only, baby.
That's true.
But no, we're gonna raid out to Dork Chop. If you guys want to hang out there for a while, please hang out there for at least a few minutes so you can see his transition between rounds. It is glorious the amount of work this man has put into this Ultimate Fighting Chop House deal. But otherwise, thank you. If you guys have anything to say in the next 4 seconds.
I just want to say real quick, if anybody has any feedback or suggestions for anything they'd like to see or things that we could maybe work on, then please just get in touch with one of us, DM us on Discord or whisper us on Twitch or whatever, just so we can...
or in the Discords, Moonions, or Bills, or Tacos, anything. We love the feedback.
Give you guys the best content that we can. That's what we're here for.
Yes.
That's what we want. Podcast ideas in case we're too lazy. Anything you guys want to give us.
Oh, please.
Yeah, we'll take it.
But all right. Thank you so much, everybody, again. You are welcome for the stream, Moonlit. I will do my best to get this uploaded. Otherwise, if you missed anything, it will be on a VOD on the channel. And we're rating out now.